Have we all seen the show Hustle and Flow? Has everybody seen Hustle and Flow?
The movie?
The movie?
Yeah, yeah. I said show. My bad. Movie. Have we all seen the movie Hustle and Flow?
Yeah.
All right, so I got a little something for y'all, man. One of my favorite
you not
characters.
this is what I think you about the show.
Listen, I probably am. One of my favorite characters from the show, Nola. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Anyway, I'm gonna let this take a life of its own. Just let it play out, and y'all tell me what y'all think about this.
Hey.
This is Nolan Hustle and Flow, and we're gonna talk about Nolan.
What, man?
No, I ain't some fucking cash machine where you can get shit for free.
Hey, ain't like you was in there sweating
No,
bullets
D, I
or some
gotta have
shit.
to say what I
And
do.
you was only
No,
in there
from
for
now
half
on,
a minute, man. Damn.
What I do.
Look, man, I was gonna give you what you know.
Every time you come
You
in
got
the store,
something for me.
D.
You got something for me.
D. Here, take it.
Hey,
You earned it.
fuck wrong with you, man? This is expensive, motherfucker. Hey, no, bring your ass. No, don't you do this shit right now. No, bring your ass here, man. You ever walk away from me? We do what the fuck we gotta do, man. By any means. Ain't that right? We take care of our shit. You think I like this shit? You think I want to spend the rest of my life pimping your pimple country ass? Well, not me. Fucking hate you. I hate this shit.
D. Do you know what I do in the back of them cars? Do you? Everybody's got something to do. Everybody's got something important going on in their life but me, D. And I want something.
What do you want?
I don't really know, but I just want something.
What do you want?
I don't know.
Tell me what the fuck you want to do.
Not this, D.
You know what, man? I just got you dressed all wrong. You know, bitch, new shoes tomorrow, man. And you gonna feel like you are in charge.
I know when you're messing with my head.
So I had to pull over because I'm just like, I don't want to like cause crashes because I'm just so rooted right now.
This is Nola 18 years later, y'all. 18 years removed from Hustle and Flow.
So
18 years.
the man that I've been messing with is a married man, and every night, well, for about 3 nights in a row, or even maybe there's a night in between, I was licking his butthole. Yep. Because he liked it. And I didn't mind doing it. Does that bother? Is that weird? Yeah. And that is what demons do. So we drove all the way down to Newport Beach today so I could buy him a boat. I was so in love, so I thought, so I could buy this gentleman a boat. And I brought cash to put a down payment down. Like, I really loved him. I was like, yes, like, we're into the same thing, like, we're kinky, blah, blah, blah. And his wife, because he's married, and I feel so bad because I can't stand her. I can't stand his wife. Because she wasn't even like, wait, what? You've been messing with my man? She said, you lunatic, you get out of my life or I'll get an RO on you. No, I'll put your ass in jail. Anyway, so I've been licking your man's butthole for weeks on end because he likes it a lot, and I do it to him, and he comes to me, and it happens. And that's a lot. I know it's a lot of information, but I'm the lunatic, right? No, I'm just single, very single. And he came to me. So you don't accuse me of being a lunatic, but I'll tell you one thing, lady. You want to put me in jail? I'll put you in jail so fast, your head will be spinning. Don't you ever threaten me. And I will show you how I do. Don't you ever ever threaten me when your husband came to me to get his butthole licked?
Listen, bro. Listen.
So wait,
Nola,
so she wasn't acting in that movie?
No, in the perfect question. Perfect question. So if art don't imitate life.
Did Jarrell did he just turn on the camera just to show the confusion on his face? And then,
He says so she wasn't acting in the movie. Oh my God, bro. She is, listen, I got a serious question. Can a married man turn a single woman a bit crazy?
Yes.
Yes. Wait. So, explain this. Explain how a married man.
Nothing to do with it.
Huh?
That ain't got a thing to do with it. It's that thing that got something to do with it.
Oh, so whatever he was doing to her turned her on and out to the point where she cutting up like that.
Pretty much.
Oh,
It be like that. Status
That-
ain't got
that-
nothing to do with it.
He said, "You in charge, man. Say you in charge."
bro. When I saw that, either she if she sends out a tweet or something, and we found out that was just a skit, and she was just having a good time, that is a great monologue. Because I'm convinced that whatever she was speaking, I'm convinced she's thrown off.
I'm convinced she's actually a meth addict that just landed a really good role.
Just landed a role.
I mean, does she be in Orange is the New Black? She acting too good.
Man, I'm telling you, I saw that shit. I saw this shit.
Is that
right
weird?
here.
Yeah.
Look,
and that is what
this.
demons do. So
what demons do? Demons lick buttholes. That's what demons do.
So I could buy him a boat. I was so in love, so I thought, so I could buy this gentleman a boat, and I brought cash to put a down payment down. Like, I really loved him. I was like, yes, like we're into the same thing, like we're kinky, blah blah blah. And his wife, because he's married, and I feel so bad because I can't stand her. I can't stand his wife. Because she wasn't even like, wait, what? You've been messing with my man? She said, you lunatic, you get out of my life or I'll get an RO on you. No, I'll put your ass in jail. Anyway, so I've been licking your man's butthole for weeks on end because he likes it a lot and I do it to him. And he comes to me and it happens.
Honestly, at this point, I'm curious.
That's a lot. I know it's a lot of
Is it
information,
just me
but
or is
I'm
the
the
video
lunatic,
breaking up?
right? No, I'm just single.
It might be you. A little
Very
bit.
single.
It's pretty clear.
And he came to me. So you don't
I just came in,
accuse
so I don't
me
know
of
what
being a lunatic, but I'll tell you one thing, lady. You want to put me in jail? I'll put you in jail so fast, your head will be spinning. Don't you ever threaten me. And I will show you how I do. Don't you ever threaten me when your husband came to me to get his butthole licked.
There's a lot going on.
My thing is, because she's in. I mean, look, I don't kink shame, right?
Right.
Is she doing? Is he putting his legs up, or he laying on his stomach?
Sniper position. There's
so much I want to say, but I'm eating.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What's going on in this video? It
What's
sounds
going
like
on, Lauren? Well, so the lady Nola from Hustle and Flow, or the lady from Orange is the New Black. She's been seeing a married man for some time now, and apparently he likes his salad tossed, and she does
that's the girl that played in Hustle and Flow.
Yeah. Yes, that's Nola.
Yeah, I didn't realize either.
That's Nola. Y'all know I just watched this movie not too long ago. But that's her. Yeah, that's definitely her.
Look,
that's how she look now.
Yeah. Oh, it's bad. Oh, that. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
She's
Yeah.
like, she's like a sun-dried tomato.
Yeah.
She in her 50s?
Y'all not right.
I mean, she was always like very small, petite, so she ain't have no room for error. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Yeah,
She
man.
still made him.
No room for error.
No,
She sure made a lot.
when you that little, you know what I'm saying? She was that little and that pale. There's not a lot of room for error when you're tiny and pale like that. And look, just listen, man. I mean, they don't age too well. They don't always age the best. So I mean, that's 18 years ago. Hustle and Flow is 18 years old. Yeah, that's an 18-year-old movie. Yeah. Yeah. It's a bad look. Anyway, the next thing is, man, okay, so man, is Keke Palmer going too far right about now, y'all?
Yes.
No.
Hey, you know what? I was saying that her and her baby daddy probably still together. You know what I'm saying? And he just taking the back seat. They done had their conversations at the house or whatever. But after that video, I don't think so. Cause I don't think so. It was, first of all, somebody said the song is trash, and the song is trash. And the song is trash. So, you know, she's not singing, she's playing the lead in the video. But to me, that song is a diss record. So one, I can't even believe Usher was petty enough to do it. Like, I don't know. I just feel like he too old to be in something like that. And secondly, it was hella disrespectful. So they cannot be together anymore. Like, they can't. Like, that's kind of like some stuff happened behind the scenes with him and her, because it was very much a get at you type of thing.
I haven't seen the video. Is the video actually out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh shit! Why didn't man? I gotta find that. Oh, okay, let me find that. Y'all, somebody else give me your thoughts on it while I find that video. I didn't know that video was actually out.
To my knowledge, while she was pregnant, she talked about collabing with him. So the video is supposed to come regardless.
But not this song, Sheffy. Come on now.
Maybe.
Okay, I see the video. Hold on. What the hell is going on? There we go.
Yeah, this a diss record. She wasn't playing no diss record with Usher.
Oh man, come on. Shit me. I just wanna let me get my screen up, man. I wasn't prepared for this. I thought the video was gonna come in a couple of days. I didn't know it was gonna show up anytime soon. What the hell is going on around here?
Today, so it's shady.
Honestly, personally, I think she is going too far with the whole situation. However, I mean, it would make sense to me that they would ride it out and try to get as much money out of the situation as possible.
Right. Okay, here we go.
Somebody say that your boyfriend's looking for me. Ooh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, you should know I'm pretty easy to find. Just look for me wherever he sees you. I go wherever you go. I go wherever you go. Turn the lights on. It seems natural for me to wander up to where you are. Where you are. In your head, cause I'm not in your bed. You just imagine. They dreaming about me, but trying to be on your best behavior. Loving me on the low. Taste of your thoughts, I can't wait to savor. Somebody say that your boyfriend's looking for me. Ooh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, you should know I'm pretty easy to find. Just look for me wherever he sees you. Somebody say that your boyfriend's looking for me.
We gotta fast forward to the end.
So he went wild at the end. Hold on.
Now, cause she wake, it was just like somebody calls her or whatever, and she wakes up, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about the show or the party or something like that."
Do you remember
She's
when
like, I'm so tired, but I'm a mother after all.
And the nights we dreamed of, girl. Somebody said that your boyfriend is looking for me.
Oh, I see you. Hold on.
That's cool. That's cool, yeah. Oh.
Look what's playing in the background.
I know, bro.
Yes. Hello. What time is it? Damn it, I missed the show. Shit, I'm so tired. I'm a mother, after all.
Cause I live right here. Honestly, all the time.
Oh, she's super petty.
Listen. Hey.
That's a diss record. Tell me I'm lying.
Yeah, my chest would be hurting if I was old dude. My chest would be hurting. But as a consumer of bullshit from time to time, I'm thoroughly entertained. Do I think she went too far? I don't know, man. I don't know what's real and fake no more. So I don't know if they are all in on it or if she really, clapping at the boyfriend and they're over and he's moving on. Because I seen things that said he's moving on. I don't know. But it seems so. I wouldn't want to be him.
It's super petty. Like she doing a little much.
Yeah.
It's exhausting at this point. Like
that's a good point. That's a good way to put it.
That whole situation when it jumped off, that was like one of those things where it's cool to talk about for like maybe 3 days, and then move on to something bigger. Because Keke Palmer has never been that big. You know what I'm saying? That big enough for, like, she ain't Beyonce. You know what I mean? Damn it, she ain't even Carrie Hilson. Like, you're Keke Palmer. You are a
Damn.
You're Akila and the Bee.
Who? You said what?
Akila and the Bee. That's who you are. You're the little girl playing football with Ice Cube as your uncle, coaching your team. Like, you're a child. You're a child star. And you're riding this little wave because your child's father called you out for being, you know what I'm saying? He was being, called him insecure or whatever, but like nobody really cared about neither one of y'all that much. So now you're just like the ain't nothing left in that cow titty.
Yeah,
Stop trying to milk
he was wrong for how he handled that.
Yeah, I agree.
But like this right here is a lot. Like that's a lot.
Yeah, I think it's a bit.
She keeping it going, and it's like, ma'am, you would have been more graceful if you kind of let it go. You said your piece. But we running up on what 2 months of this now, man. Let it go.
Yeah.
Well, she haven't been saying anything about it. People have been taking things that she's doing and making it mean something. She hasn't been saying anything.
Yeah.
She hasn't been saying anything. She hasn't been doing anything. But this right here is a diss and an attempt to capitalize. And then
she has done something. She did that one little rap thing she did a couple of weeks ago.
And then trying to create some merch too, right?
No, that's old.
Oh,
that's old. And even the t-shirts that she made, that I'm a mother t-shirt, I mean, I don't feel like it was anything disrespectful about that. She capitalized off it. The Stevie to the bullshit, that really wasn't against him. That's something that she said.
Yeah, and I think that yeah.
Yeah, her and him had just had a conversation on one of her podcasts where he asked her, if you were to see me with some other girl, because that was the conversation they were having about stuff like that. And he was like, if you were to see me with some other girl, or somebody sends you a picture of me with some other girl or whatever, what would you do? And she was like, I'm Stevie to the bullshit. I don't see nothing. I don't know nothing. You got which say you got a brother that ain't even you. We gonna handle our business at home, but whatever other people sending me or talking about, I don't see it. So that's what she was, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So to me, I feel like people were taking it to mean something that they wanted to mean, and she's letting them. See, because why not? Because it's making her more popular. I wouldn't say famous,
but it's adding relevance, because anything nowadays that gets eyes, you know what I'm saying? Anything that gets eyes is because that's what drives revenue. It don't matter whether you like it or don't like it. If eyes are on it, it's going to drive revenue. And so, you know, people can throw
everybody gonna go.
Yeah, people gonna look. People can, if somebody's gonna look, that means they can put everything's a billboard. That's the way we got everything is a billboard. If a person can put an ad on it, if they know enough eyes are gonna see it, and they can slap an ad on it for 5 or 10 to 15 seconds in the middle of it, that's all that matters. So unfortunately, I mean, the man from the day one did not make anything better by blowing up his own spot. But anyway, I want to get into this this Derrick Jaxn shit. But that we always just open up with something light, something fun. This Derrick Jaxn one is a little bit long. Y'all,
we gotta talk about part 2 next week.
Yeah, listen, man.
I'll be on it 8 a.m.
if y'all, I
want to see what other lies he gonna
you know
tell.
what I'll do is I'll live stream that into the and everybody can get into the comments on part 2. But right now we're gonna dive into this one right here, because this dude yeah, let's just let it rip. Let's just let it rip. Good Lord.
Again, that's kind of whenever she found out through the videos and stuff like that. Now how she told me she found out, I'm not sure exactly if this is it, but she went and got a new phone. It was logged into my Google Cloud because we haven't logged into each other's email, and that allowed her to see everything. And I'm like, again, I'm kind of freaky, so I was recording a lot of stuff. Yeah, I was just recording a lot of stuff. I like to see it or whatever. I like that better than porn, you know, TMI. But
you say you like to see yourself.
I like to see myself. I'm inspired by me in that regard. So she saw all of that, and regardless of how she found it, man, I just was like, it's like, what the F am I thinking? She's pregnant, and she had to see that.
Love is a treasure chest, but once opened, our hearts become vulnerable.
I went back to Vegas. It was this guy. He appeared as a friend. Sure enough, it led to infidelity.
Alignment can't be all with Phil. Listen, are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, come on, can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. Listen, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, wherever you consume your audio podcasts, make sure that you rate this video and leave a comment. That's how people hear about us. Thank y'all so much for making a Dear Future Wifey podcast consistently top 10 in relationships on Apple Podcasts. I thank y'all so much. Today's episode, as we talk about tough topics in season 7, this is a person y'all been wanting to have on the podcast. This brother needs no introduction. We're going to jump right on into it. This will be a 2-part series. I'll run both of them consecutively one day after the next. So without further ado, welcome to a Dear Future Wifey podcast. My new homie, Derrick Jaxn.
What's going on, brother?
Derrick, listen, man, people been saying, when are you going to come on the podcast?
When I'm going to come on any podcast up until recently.
So what made you decide to go do it?
I'm not really big on coming and doing interviews and talking about myself, but this one is a little bit different because it involves, you know, things that kind of hit closer to home. So I felt like I could contribute something to the conversation. If it's going to be had, I think it's best if it's had with both sides of a story, you know, and one day whenever my children do see mommy and daddy talking about this, I want them to see where we both stand and hopefully how we both resolve things. So that was it, man.
I got comments.
You say mommy and daddy. So your ex-wife or current wife, I know y'all going through whatever y'all going through, Danae was on the podcast. A lot of times people, when I did the episode, I was laughing a lot on the episode. She has this funny wit. She has this I said this little Seinfeld humor.
Yeah.
Was that something that attracted you to her at the very beginning?
Yeah, she had a sense of humor since the beginning, man. You wouldn't think it because she's kind of an introvert.
Right.
So she doesn't feel comfortable talking to new people often, at least she didn't, or in big groups. But like once she gets comfortable or when she feels like she can trust you, she opens up, man, and she's hilarious.
and so that's what happened in my pre-interview with her. I was talking to her. I was like, this girl is hilarious. This girl is funny. So we did on the episode, a lot of people's like, they're talking about serious stuff and they're laughing about it. Why are they? And she was like, Laterris, if you weren't laughing, I wouldn't have been able to do 2.5 hours of an interview with you. It'd have been too heavy. I like the fact that you got my humor. And I said, I bet you that's something that Derrick found attractive in her at the very beginning.
Among other things, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
We say other things like what?
Man, first off, when I first saw her, all I knew was what she looked like. You know? So pretty face, nice shape, all that stuff. But I like that she was kind of like me in terms of like when you look at her, she's not the stereotypical thick, cute black girl. At least, this at 19 years old.
Right.
And when people looked at me, they felt like, oh, he's a jock. And, I think you said that in the interview, matter of fact, which is not bad. But, at the time I was fighting a lot and stuff like that. But
you said you were fighting a lot?
Yeah, man. I was just, knucklehead, man. It's 19 years old. But beyond the surface, though, I'm a lover. I'm kind of soft. I like R&B music. I read romance novels at this point. I write poetry.
You was doing that at 19?
19 years old, man. So, like, that version of me that's like, okay, it's not, what you see is not necessarily what you get. It's the exact same thing with her.
I'm not gonna let that shit slide. Y'all better not let it slide either. Ain't no,
Man.
who the fuck, what dude, I don't know a man that's ever existed that has read romance. Do any of y'all, like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Do y'all know of any men that read romance novels?
Yeah, gay men. Just keeping a buck.
Okay, I just did not want to let that slide by. He read romance novels. Either he's lying or that's who he is. Anyway, let's keep it rolling.
Either he lying or he a true lame, which is a little bit of both.
It's a little bit of both. Oh, it's definitely a little bit of both. He might not be lying about that, but he's definitely a true lame. All right, let's keep it rolling.
Same thing with her. She's not stereotypical. She like Taekwondo and, Justin Timberlake and stuff you wouldn't necessarily think, man. But all of that is what drew me to her. It's like my authentic self just felt safe and at home with her.
How do you feel today? I want to check on you as a man. How do you feel as a man?
I feel really good, man. Better every day, but I feel like it's a lot of gratitude these days.
A lot of people wouldn't be able to identify with what you may go through on an emotional standpoint, especially have created a platform as large as you created, and then feel the world turn on you. How did you internalize that?
Honestly, man, being everybody's favorite ain't really been my portion my whole career. I mean, at some point, now it's more legitimate because it's behind something I actually did. But in the very beginning, I knew pissing some people, I'm trying to talk crazy. Pissing some people off was going to be a price I was going to have to pay.
You knew that at the very beginning?
Very beginning. And then, before all of this, there was some like false rumors. At one point, people thought Danae was white because I showed a picture briefly. I posted my baby girl, my first daughter, Marley, and her hand was wrapped around my finger, and it was so light-skinned. They said, oh, he only dates white women. And I lost followers. I'm talking about it was going viral, all the YouTubers. So honestly, man, since then, I already knew, like, okay, people online, they're going to have their thoughts or what have you, and you can't see yourself through that lens. So I really haven't internalized that so much.
A lot of times people, I saw my brother, Willie Moore Jr., he posted a snippet of you about the interview that you were doing with him. That's when this dropped, that would have dropped 3 days ago. And I read the comments. It was like, why are you giving this brother a platform? Why would you do this? And all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And first, when I read it, I was like, now if I do this interview with them, are they gonna feel the same way? I was like, no, like you said, it's a more balanced approach. I had Danae on here. It's only fair to have you on here as well. But not even on that. But even in 2020, you checked your DMs. I reached out to you before all this stuff started imploding.
One of the few.
Yeah, and I reached out to you because I always want to have conversations with Black men because in the from your platform standpoint, the stuff that you were telling and helping Black women with was facts. It was no lies told.
Yeah.
What a lot of men took gripe about is that they like, oh, not only are you telling the secrets or whatever, but they kind of felt like you were pandering to Black women for your benefit. What would you say about that?
Well, we kind of have this
Pause. That is not what we thought. Men, let's enlighten them. We knew he was full of shit. We knew you were not that guy that you were speaking about. Listen, bro, I don't know how to explain how I knew. There was no factual evidence. But
y'all always say he was pandering too.
I didn't,
and that's why I didn't like him. And I'm a woman.
I didn't care about the pandering part. Women pander, men pander. You gonna get your dollar. But if you're gonna pander, I need you to be the person that you are saying. You can't be the dude that you speaking against. You can't be that. And I felt
you can. That's true pandering right there. That's that G shit.
I mean, it might be, but it's bull. No, it's that bullshit, not G shit. It's that bullshit. And when I peep bullshit, I'm gonna call it the way I see it because I can't respect that. I'd rather a man get up there and say, "Look, I'm this dude, and I'm telling y'all who to avoid. I'm what y'all mama and daddy warned y'all about." He didn't do that, but I knew a lot of us knew. Yeah, he's that guy. That was the issue. That was some of our issue. So I mean, fellas, I don't know if y'all want to chime in on that, but I just didn't want to let you slide.
It wasn't like, oh, this nigga lame because he telling women what men lie about and how to catch men in lies. So we don't like this nigga because he giving away our trade secrets. No, that wasn't the issue that men had with him. It was the simple fact that this nigga was I'm trying not to parrot what you said, Manuel, but it's I'm trying.
It was fake. It was inauthentic.
Yeah, cause I mean, I don't want to be redundant and repeat what you said, but you're like most men just knew, and no one that I've seen online was saying this nigga lame because he calling us out.
No, but I never saw that.
It was just this nigga lame because we can clearly see exactly what he's doing. Just telling y'all what you want to hear. Even though there were truth to some things that he was saying, it was still in the way that he presented it. So it was like we see. Well, what do you call what magicians call sleight of hand or something like that?
Yeah.
Sleight of hand.
Yeah, we can see.
It was like watching the magician, like, hey nigga, we see you.
For me, I think it was more so a position of like the Pied Piper type situation. He was literally telling women everything they wanted to hear without actually giving them a sound analysis on what men are really about. You track what I'm saying? Like, and you put anybody in a position, I mean, some people have the self-awareness where they like, yeah, you're just talking and telling me what I want to hear. While other people, I mean, I don't want to generalize, but typically you tell a woman what she want to hear, she going to fall. You track what I'm saying? That's usually how a lot of these dudes run. A lot of these dudes run that way, and that's how he made his whole career on that. I could say a bunch of names. Ace Metaphor. He another one. You know what I'm saying? All these dudes just be running the same play where they just say what it is they believe y'all want to hear without actually giving a sound analysis on what dudes is about.
I do not like that dude, Ace Metaphor.
He's the animated Derrick Jaxn. He's
the
one.
He got some nuggets every now and again.
Yeah, no, and that's what they do. See,
he's fake. Hey, it's not that anything that they're saying.
Yeah, they drop some nuggets here and there. They do.
It's the presentation.
Oh, wait. Here. Oh, Ashley, she said all men were mad at Derrick Jaxn because they felt he was talking about black men, but in reality, he was telling the truth about a lot of y'all. No, see, Ashley, this is what women like to do. We just told you that we don't like the color purple, and you tried to tell us we like the color pink. No, we are telling you what it is. We peeped the other side of the shit, that he was not the dude that he was portraying. He wasn't the opposite of it. You can't sit there as a preacher and talk about the crackhead, the dope head, the dope dealer, and the whoremonger, and you the crackhead, the dope head, the dope dealer, and the whoremonger. No, nigga, we never gonna co-sign that. That's what it was for most men that were peeping it. We were like, okay, yeah, he's telling the truth, but you this dude. You're not allowed to speak and have this holier than thou perspective. And we knew we didn't even need the proof. It's just easy to see. And y'all don't see it because y'all heard what y'all wanted to hear.
Stop with that y'all shit.
Okay, because I ain't never followed that dude.
My bad.
Anytime you got to talk to me from your car like that, I'm good.
Yeah, and Miguel said the same way men gravitate to the voices that tell them what they want to hear. It's a lot of dudes that do the same thing. I mean, real talk. She said, hold on. Chris said, I never heard men say it had to do with his character. It was always about him pandering. I'm telling you now, man, y'all so full of shit. Y'all not hearing. We told y'all this was a fraud. The word fraud. What does the word fraud mean? What does the word fraud mean? When men were calling him a fraud, what does that mean?
Nigga fake.
That means he's fake. That means he's disingenuous. That means he's not that. That means he is what he's talking about. And for it to be respected by men, you go ahead and own that. Say, look, I'm cheating on my wife right now. This is why I'm talking this shit. Thank you, dude. That's all we wanted to know. Anyway. They were just mad because he was exposing y'all. It didn't work because all y'all falling for the same shit anyway. Next.
Bro code, and it's got us in the chokehold. And the bro code is all about having a man's side no matter what. Yeah. No matter if we wrong or what have you. And I think personally it's created a generation of coddled men that can't take correction from anybody, no matter how soft it is or balanced it is. So when I'm saying all of this, of course there's different layers to it. Some of them think, it's because he wants vagina, because he wants money or what have you. But man, I was raised by a single mother around two sisters. Naturally, I lean towards the woman's point of view on things. Anything else would be disingenuous. And it's not that everything that I'm saying is necessarily right, but it's how I see things. And then if you take from that, just say, your interview with Danae, you were speaking in a way that was protective as her brother, empathetic. You was calling wrong. That wasn't you pandering. Right. Per the situation that you speaking on, this is the truth. Right. But whenever you telling a truth that makes people uncomfortable or a truth that's not popular, they're going to look for a way to attack you either way it go.
I can respect that. I asked you, I said, Derrick, if you were given the opportunity to name this episode, what would you name it? And what did you say?
Reap what you sow.
Why? Why'd you say that?
I think whenever I've talked about these different rules and what have you, some people take from it like, okay, he's promoting perfection. We're going to mess up sometime. And my whole MO has been like, okay, if you're going to mess up, you just got to understand that come with consequences. You reap what you sow. Even whenever I started mentioning God, I gave my life to Christ February 4th, 2020. And people were like, oh, you can't bring God into it. I'm like, the God I serve says you reap what you sow. And I'm no exception. Even as I'm saying it, I'm living it too. Yeah. And that goes both good and bad. But, I think if we're all aware of that, we can walk according to that instead of thinking we get.
Pause.
Shabba.
I'm telling you, as I'm saying it, I'm living it. Listen,
yo, this dude, all this dude does
you
is
were
talk
delusional,
shit, bro.
saying we weren't calling him a fraud. We were. Tag Keisha Godfrey to this damn post. We were calling this dude a fraud. Yeah. I never called him a simp because I don't even use that terminology unless I know you an actual simp based on the real definition of what a simp is. I ain't calling him a simp. I didn't care that he was.
It was pretty dudes that were calling him a simp, but
it definitely was. But we were calling him there was so many of us calling him a fraud. I know they wasn't calling him no fraud. That's a goddamn lie. Y'all skipped past them because y'all saw that big word simp and y'all love simp. So I understand how that worked out. Go ahead, Jamel.
Dude, just say whatever the fuck he want to say. Like, I can't really put a finger on him, bro. Like, he's odd. Like, from the jump, like, I don't know about nobody else. I don't even know what the hell the bro code is, bro. Men sell each other out for smaller things. Are you kidding me?
Wow. Like what? Like, thank you. What bro code is he talking about? Like the bro code. Listen, the bro code that I know that we abide by as men is you don't bust down your homie's girl, your homie's ex. You know what I'm saying? You don't snitch on your homie. But the bro code has never been that you don't put women on game with regard to men. That has never been a bro code thing. So he must not have been a bro, because he doesn't really know the code.
Now hold up though, but now hold up. You saying that, but let's back up, because people said the same thing about Steve Harvey book. He giving the game away. So don't say
those that did. Okay,
maybe
so
it's not you, but men.
Yeah. It might have been some. It might have been some. It might have been some men that were saying
a lot.
Well, it might have been. It might have been a whole lot. It might have. There's a group of men. There's a very, very, very large group of men that never care about what information is put out there, because we know at the end of the day, no matter, women can be given the blueprint on how to build a house, and they're gonna look at the blueprint and build a farm because they want to build a farm.
They're not even gonna look at the blueprint. They're gonna set it on fire and say, "I'd rather color."
Right.
Whoa.
My bad, Chef.
Calm down. I ain't gonna let y'all slide too much on that. Not too
much. Real talk though. We listen. They don't. Golly, I'm gonna say some things. Real players don't give a real players don't give a fuck what another dude tells y'all about dudes. We're gonna put our arm right around you and say, girls, whatever. Shit, what you doing? Shit, yeah, man, let that man talk. What's good though? We don't care. We don't care.
The thing is, it can be 100,000 men supposedly telling women how men act, and women still gonna fall for it. A lot of women still gonna fall for it.
Thank you for correcting that with a lot. Appreciate it.
I heard you earlier, Chef. Not you.
Right.
A lot of women, and excluding Sheffy, she's nowhere in there.
It's a few.
They're gonna fall for it regardless, because they make up their mind what they want, and once her mind is made up, you can talk to her till she blue in the face, and she's gonna see right past every warning, every dashboard light, and keep driving that car because she knows what you want. So it doesn't matter.
It don't matter.
And niggas know that. So niggas ain't threatened by another man say, watch out for this guy.
We don't come right behind that guy and say, hey, I think he was talking about me, but don't worry about it.
Well, see, that's the thing.
What you drinking?
That what made his advice just so horrible.
Bro, listen, this is how crazy it is that bro code does not exist. A man will come behind another man, talk shit about the man that was already there in order to get with the woman that the man had. And we call it dirty mac. We created terms for this.
Yes, dirty macking.
Dirty macking.
Mm-hmm. What makes it even worse is when you call a man out, oh, this dude is like that. A lot of women will go see if they can change that guy. So they're going to go over there anyway. So it don't really matter. He was just getting likes. I don't think anybody actually took him seriously enough to listen to him so much as it was validating a lot of just horrible advice that women have been told, or that women have been told about men. And it was just, yeah, girl, see, I told you, men ain't this and men ain't that. And that's all it was. It was just trauma bonding over validation. I don't know that anybody actually listened to what he was saying, though.
I don't know if anybody did or didn't. I know there's again, popularity and eyes and likes and views can lead one to believe that somebody was listening. But I know what was being said by a very, very large group of men for a long time. And then when it went left, and he got busted, we said, told you. They was mad that we turned around and said, told you. Anyway, I'm gonna hit play on this thing.
that instead of thinking we get an out because we had our intentions or what have you. For the time I spent in my patterns and the things that I'm not proud of, I gave myself an out. I gave myself excuses. Well, I felt like this and she did that. And I wasn't operating according to where you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Not what's sown by your partner, not what's sown by the circumstances, and your daddy wasn't there. So if I'm going to talk about it and I'm going to really be real, we got to speak with that at the core of the message.
I respect that. Let's go back. I want to go back to find out who Derrick was. Who was Derrick growing up? Like you said, I hear you just mentioned that you grew up in a single parent home, raised by a mother around sisters. What did that look like growing up? And why wasn't your dad present?
So my daddy just got in a lot of trouble. You know, my mama and daddy was in their early 30s, about my age now. So he's from Jamaica. He had got into some trouble, got deported very early on. Actually, when I was 4 years old, but he wasn't in my life since probably age 1. So my mama, coming from somewhat of a background that she didn't want us to be a part of, she moved down to Alabama. Me, my 2 sisters, and actually my older brother, but he was so much older, he moved out pretty quickly. And man, I just grew up. It wasn't objectively bad, but the story I created from the dynamic of not only daddy not being there and not having answers, but my mama working 2 to 3 jobs year round, I just felt invisible, you know, because like, again, I was really living with my 2 sisters and they connected to each other a lot better than they did me. Yeah. Everybody loved me, to be real with you. My mama loved me and they loved me. But then when mama get home from work, she need time just to be a human being. She got her own battles. So as she's trying to give herself, she's really stretched thin. And then on top of that, again, she barely connects with me. I'm missing my daddy. So a lot of my childhood, man, was just feeling invisible.
Go ahead, Jamel.
Yo, did this nigga say in the beginning of this little segment there a moment ago, he said, I don't want to make no excuses. If I'm gonna give it real, I'm gonna give it real. I ain't gonna bring up all the, and then he turns around and says all this shit. Is that what just happened just now? Or am I tripping?
I'm telling you, he talk out of both sides of his neck at the same time. I don't want to give excuses, but here's the excuses. No,
he's opportunistic as hell. Like everything is an opportunity.
Like no,
like this is ridiculous.
No, I'm telling you, I don't got excuses, but these are my excuses. Okay, well, I mean, but I want to let the man speak, man. I want to let the man speak. I want to let him speak.
The story I had created, and then I acted out to get a lot of attention.
How'd you act out?
School. I was the knucklehead that made it really hard to find a babysitter. You know, they just knew that Bud was my childhood name. Bud gonna act up. Bud don't like to listen. Bud just needed some attention. And Bud knew it. The world is gonna stop if I get in trouble, if I talk too much, if I get out my seat, if I do this, that, and that. So I got whoopings and all that stuff. But it was really my way of getting attention. So that was pretty much my childhood. Again, my mama, a single mom. She made everything stretch how they needed to. She taught me basically everything up until I got to 10th grade. And that's when I had my stepdaddy, Mr. Lloyd, rest in peace. He came into the picture. And he gave me kind of that blue collar work ethic thing. You know, we roofing, we fixing cars, we cutting grass. So that's pretty much it, man.
Did you have any sexual experiences at a young age?
No, never before my first, like, losing my virginity at like 16.
About 16. Mm-hmm. So same as me, lost my virginity at 16. When you lost your virginity at 16, what did that teach you as a man? Was that something that your homeboys was encouraging everybody in the neighborhood? What city did you grow up in?
Enterprise, Alabama. Well, between Elba and Enterprise, Alabama.
Enterprise, Alabama.
Shout out to Alabama right now. You know what I'm saying? We repping kind of hard. The Montgomery Mollywop representing. But Enterprise, Alabama.
Yeah. And so at 16, you end up giving up your virginity. What was that like? What did that teach you?
That when a girl say, come see my hair at 1 a.m, it probably ended come see your hair. It was to my next door neighbor, and I don't want to go into detail about it, but honestly, bro, I was just happy to be having sex. I ain't gonna lie to you. It just felt like a rite of passage. You know, because at 15, 16 years old, you still trying to define yourself, be accepted. So this whole time, I wasn't necessarily tripping on sex, but when it came, I wanted to perform. And I went in, you know, but the reality of how I developed my relationship with sex actually started probably with pornography. That was about 10, 11 years old.
Who introduced you to that?
I don't want to say his name, but my homeboy.
It was a homeboy.
Back in Elba, Alabama. He introduced me. Matter of fact, I think they were just introducing computers into the school. I'm old. Just introducing computers. So this is before they had firewall and all that stuff. And man, he told me to go on the website, and I went on the website. And from there, man, I won't say addicted, but I was definitely introduced to something way too early.
What do you remember that doing? Because a lot of people don't understand how pornography shapes the viewpoint of how men see or objectify women.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with, even my sons, you know what I'm saying? They be online, they'll end up something will pop up.
I don't want to let that slide by with pornography and how having that early exposure. This has been chronicled, and I think it affects our generation and, definitely the current generations more than generations prior because of the accessibility of pornography. I know when me and my brothers was coming up, man, listen, we had an unspoken, I'm going to put us on blast. There was one tape. There was one sex tape that me and Charles and Clifton rotated. There were no conversations. Nobody said nothing. I had a VCR, and that sex tape was in there. When that sex tape was missing out my VCR, I knew only go look another place. It was in Charles' room, and it was in his VCR. Now, that pornography compared to what is available. He Charles told me I'm a goddamn lie. No, I ain't. No, I ain't. No, I ain't. I knew exactly where that tape was. Anyway,
I know he had.
Anyway, that tape, I'm telling you, compared to what I see, what it's available now.
Man, look.
Yo, it's those people back then, I can say they were just having sex. So I don't know what he had access to, though. I don't know if maybe we had a tame version of something, you know what I'm saying? Because I think it was some old tape that my pops had or whatever, case may be. But at any rate, we can't gloss over that. Pornography and the exposure or the availability of it and men being exposed to it so young men, man, there's a very unhealthy relationship dynamic that men have with sex before they can even experience it. Because I mean, beating it up, all this stuff, and it's bled over into music and into culture. Y'all weigh in on that and give me y'all thoughts on that. Like, it is a real problem in this day and age.
You know what, man? It honestly didn't have any effect or any bearing on me. I seen a couple of them when I was in elementary school. I told you about this before too, Well, you probably don't remember, but our older cousin, Mama put him out, and he came and stayed with us for a little while. And this nigga had like a duffel bag full. And you know who I'm talking about, Manuel. I ain't gonna say it. We ain't gonna say his name, but
Boo Boo.
Yeah. So he had like a duffel bag, like full of them, man. And we
Hold
know
on, pause. I don't mean to interrupt the story. The dude he's talking about is the first human I know that actually experienced a glory hole. The human that he's talking about. Laguerre said, "Say his name more, it ain't true." Listen, I don't know.
Nah,
there's a nickname, but I don't know if you want to throw him out. So leave
nah, I ain't.
We'll let him make it. But go ahead.
Yeah, let him live the time. But no. So I made up an excuse to stay home from school, and I was at home by myself, and went into the closet and grabbed a duffel bag. Just curious, popped the tape in, watched the whole thing. Pop another in, watch the whole thing. Pop another in, watch the whole thing. And I wasn't infatuated at all. It was more so humorous to me because they looked ridiculous. It was just even at elementary school age, I knew that it wasn't real. So my first experience was having sex was out of high school. And maybe like a year out of high school. And none of that came to mind, like, I'm gonna stroke this way, I'm gonna stroke that way. And then what did nigga do in this last video I watched? It's like I didn't connect the two.
Right.
So but I do understand how it can have an adverse effect on a lot of young boys growing into men. So I don't know if it's the fact that I guess on average I was kind of a late bloomer, and it just didn't. That was a stretch of time between elementary school and post high school, to the fact that where in the act I didn't connect the two, but it just never resurfaced.
I mean, it's like I don't know how it was for guys, but as a girl growing up and having access to this material, because of course all the material back then in the 80s and early 90s was very much catered to men's tastes, I believe. I would say it I don't think it had the same effect for girls back then as it does now. Because, back then it was a tape and everybody passed that 1-2 tapes around the whole neighborhood over and over and over again. Versus now, you got 50-11 sites, you got a whole search engine on fetishes, and some of the things that were taboo then are normal now. So I think it's far more detrimental now. I mean, even as a parent, when we caught our kids, and we caught both of them watching stuff, it was just like, where did you even get the idea to look up this genre? Like, who told you about this? So I think it goes back to these kids these days have a way too much exposure to different things. And Derrick Jaxn is 10 years younger than us, maybe?
Yeah.
So it probably started like right along that time there when access to information just became so widely available.
Right.
And now we have a generation of kids, of people who have really unhealthy relationships with sex.
Because what he did mention was when he was in school, the internet wasn't what it was when we were in high school, as opposed to when he was in high school. When he was in high school, they were able to, get to it. When we were in high school, we still hadn't had the access to the internet like that. Like very few homes even had internet like that.
Mm-hmm. It was a luxury.
We still had dial-up.
Right.
Take an hour to see a movie.
Right. So I think he is part of that. He's that early group of young men that have had access to that like that. And I can absolutely, I'm gonna let him go ahead and tell his story, but I can absolutely understand how, because I've seen the way men talk and the way young men talk, and I'm like, bro, who told you that women wanted that? And the only place they can get that from is from their peer group or what they see on the internet and what they see in the videos. Only place they can get most of that shit.
Pop up on these gaming stuff, and I was like, hey, this is why you shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
No one ever had that conversation with me as a young man, and I had a family member that had magazines, and I seen them a couple of times when I was like 12, but I just never did like get involved in it. So my question to you is, how did that shape, when you look back, hindsight being 2020, how did that shape your viewpoint on women?
Well, what my therapist taught me was that it actually just created a toxic relationship with sex, period. It became kind of an escape, something to immediately distract me, make me feel less rejected if I ever felt that. So, starting there, of course, it rewires your brain, it desensitizes you and stuff like that. It also miseducates you on what real intimacy is. So it took me well into my adulthood, actually until, I was married, to understand that it's not about performance-based, whenever you're having sex with a woman, it's connection-based. So I went, even having sex in the earliest years, it was about, the theatrics of what I could perform and so on and so forth, man. But especially if there's serious feelings involved, you may leave a woman feeling like a piece of meat when she can tell you wasn't even there with her.
Right.
So not only that, in the times where I wasn't having sex, again, that was my easy out. Like, okay, I know I got porn, I got this, that, and the other. And I wasn't on there like 4 hours a day or nothing like that. But I developed some nasty habits of when I'm really, really stressed or hurt or grieving or whatever.
Yep.
I can do this and then go to sleep, or I can do this to get my mind. I can break the pattern by doing this. So that was pretty much it, man.
You're in college.
I have a quick question for the women, and women in the comments, y'all can tap into this. But Lauren, Sheffy, y'all here right now. Do women ever want to feel like a piece of meat?
Yeah.
Yes. I knew somebody was going to admit it. Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, because sometimes in that same vein, we treat y'all like a piece
hold
of
on,
meat.
Look who old freaky self tapped into it. Ligale talking about yes, they want to feel like a piece of.
I ain't even surprised, Ligale.
I ain't even surprised.
Even swap ain't no swindle, man.
Okay, but men need to.
I ain't never wanted to feel like a piece of
meat. And you know, and that's cool. I think men need to understand who they're dealing with. Period. Like, and women do communicate what they like and don't like. I think porn and too much access to it, your brain as a man, as a young man, if you get that, your brain as a young man, you're not even wired in to be able to receive whether or not that's what you want. You almost don't even care. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to tap into the women.
I mean,
go ahead.
But you got a lot of women who don't know what they want too. So it's a whole lot of confused people out here, because you have a lot of folks that want certain things or want to feel a certain way, but they don't want to give verbiage to it because they feel shame in themselves for feeling like a certain way. Like a lot of women, when we talked about this before with rape fantasies, a lot of women won't admit it. Not to say all women have them, I'm not saying that at all. But there's a lot of women who do have those fantasies, but won't admit it because there's a shame attached to it. So then it becomes in where they join into a relationship, they're wanting to feel certain things, but refuse to give voice to it. So then you have this guy who's wanting to experience stuff too. He's trying to do stuff. It's not what she's looking for. Or it is what she's looking for, but she still feels shame about it. So in the end, both of them become unhappy with the relationship they have because neither one is being honest.
I think that millennials are probably the first generation of parents who are willing to at least kind of have real conversations about sex with their children. So that plays a
huge part, Lauren. You said some shit there.
You know, everybody above that was just like, you know, you might get the birds and the bees talk, which was not much, you know. And then it was just like, that's a grown-up thing. So you were not prepared for it. It was just another one of those things that adults just think they could raise you. And then once you get a certain age, like you just supposed to magically know everything about being an adult because they raised you, but you had to stay in a child's place. You weren't allowed to. I think we're the first generation who has started to realize you're raising children, but you're not raising children. You're raising little adults from young. Like they're going to grow up and be adults. And that's what, like, you literally have to prepare children for
that world. They got to get prepared for the world so fast.
Phase of life.
So fast. And with the access to information that they have, I'm gonna go ahead and play it. But with the access for information that they have nowadays, it's almost even more imperative that I might as well have this conversation.
You have to.
I might as well have this conversation.
And before you think that you have to, you have to. Yeah. Because my son, I remember he was 8 when I found out he was like so he had his own phone only because his father and I are not together. So that's what his phone was for. But I go in his phone and I just tap into the Google search bar and, you know, your searches come up and it's like naked girls.
And my cousin
lost my mind.
And my cousin just said her 8-year-old was sent a flick by another kid who was an 8-year-old. You see what I'm saying? It's so quick. Like
I called one of my homegirls who have a son a couple years older than mine, like in shock and damn near crying. I was like, what the? I was like, girl, She was like, yeah. I'm like, well, what did you do? What do I do? Because me, I was like, naked girls. You want to? I'm a girl. You want me to get naked? He was like, no, mama, no. You sure? You sure? And his grandma was like, don't do that. You're gonna traumatize him. I wasn't gonna really get naked in front of him, but I was like, what's going on? Like, what's going on in your head? Like, why are you looking for this? What you want to see some naked girls for at 8?
Because that's what they talking about. I'm gonna go ahead and hit play on the video, but because that's what they talking about at school. So you gotta know what they're talking about.
But college, how did you meet Danae?
Math class. She walked in. Then she had on a black colored button up with black slacks, pretty face, slanted eyes, nice curves. So honestly, it was all physical when I first looked at her. And then I saw her notebook and I saw that she was into music. And I was like, oh, I thought she was like a bottle girl or something like that. You know what I'm saying? No, I was like, I saw the saxophone and stuff like that. So I asked about it. And she had a really soft voice, somewhat of an innocence about her. And we got to talking. I got a number. She didn't immediately answer later on whenever I called. I think I called 3 times. So if she don't answer this time, she answered on the last ring. And from there, man, we talked through the night. We did all of the stuff that we think about in high school and college, like on the phone overnight. We were inseparable, man, for like that first 2 months. Just again, people looked at me a certain way, and I was misunderstood. But with her, even being goofy and bubbly, like my personality is naturally I'm usually the jokester.
Okay.
So between that and I had an interest that most guys would think is soft. Again, I love Terry McMillan and Eric Jerome Dickey books. I love R&B. I work out to R&B to this day.
So
you know what I'm saying? On the way home from football games, I was writing poetry. Coincidentally, Dear Future Wife post, man, back in the day. You can search on Twitter right now, put in hashtag Dear Future Wife and Derrick Jaxn. You'll see from 2010. I was on. So all of that soft stuff, she didn't judge me for though. She loved it. She loved my poetry. She wrote poetry, and one time, this is when I like knew it, like, oh, this is the one right here. I told her when I was younger, we loved peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Didn't know that's how mama was making that money stretch, but I loved it. It was a delicacy to me.
You better talk about it.
She, before practice one day, she was like, I need to see you. I was like, okay, for football practice. And she ran up to me with 2 sandwiches, one with white bread, one with wheat bread, and said, I didn't know which one you was gonna like, but I know you like PB&J.
Really?
I called my mama on the way to practice. I said, Mama, I found the one. Go on, get your dress ready. It's going down. This is at 19 years old, man. So we could joke.
We had them at peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Man, look, a sense of humor. Of course, she was sexy and all that stuff, but she
started off tutoring you, right? She said something about tutoring you.
That was a segue. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out how to get close to her at first.
Oh, so you used that?
I used it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I used it. I need help. Now I did, but that wasn't the reason why I chose her as my tutor. They had other tutors. You know what I'm saying? One girl, she had like a pimple by nose and stuff like that. I was cool on that. I want this one right here.
I want this one.
And so, yeah, man, we continued to connect and talk and be inseparable. And you know, it didn't take long at all. I think within like a week and a half, 2 weeks, we were inseparable, holding hands everywhere, went on dates. I ain't even had no money for a date. I ain't had no money to pay for my own food on the date. And then the first night that I asked her, I think it was on Valentine's Day of 2020, I asked her if she would be my girl. We went on a bowling date.
Not 2020.
No, not 2020,
yeah.
Shoot. 2009. That year is so crazy to me.
Yeah.
2009, February 14, 2009, I asked her to be my girl after a bowling date. She said yeah. And then I asked her to come with me down to the lake so we could pray over our relationship. It's the first time.
Hold on. At 19, you talking about you praying with
I was actually you probably won't believe this. I was actually an average churchgoer, man, at that time. I was doing my stuff, but I also went down to Mount Olive Baptist Church down in Tuskegee and was front row every single Sunday.
Really?
Yes. I was a devout churchgoer. The year before that, I did a mission trip out in Atlanta ministering to the homeless down by Peachtree. So, you know, she came in. I was still in church, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to pray. I was so scared.
You wanted to pray over y'all relationship.
I didn't know what I was doing. I never felt anything like that. I never felt like I really was in love because I had a hard time letting people close to me because I experienced a lot of loss. So I could engage. I'm an extrovert when it comes to meeting people and talking, but actually letting somebody in, she was the very first person outside of my family I had done that with. So, man, we prayed by the lake. I led the prayer. And then we was like, all right, God, I need your help because I don't know what I'm doing.
You said you were afraid.
Afraid.
Because you've never allowed yourself to open up like this with a woman before, you said you've experienced loss. When you say that, you're talking about what? Your father not being present? What other losses that you incurred?
Mostly my father, man. And then my grandmother was a tough loss. And I learned really with that, and everybody lost somebody, but I learned with that I'm horrible at grieving. I don't do well with that. And I learned later on in therapy it's because of how I internalized my father's loss. I had so much meaning I put to it as far as like what that means for me. Like, I'm not worth calling. I'm not worth checking on. I'm not worth doing the right thing so you don't have to be taken from me.
Yeah.
And then my mama, she had a thing that she would do from I'd say up to about age 7, where she would tuck me in and say, "Good night, Mr. B," because Bud was my nickname. And then mama got a boyfriend one time and she stopped. And for me, I mean, it was dramatic, I guess, but I said, oh, she don't love me like that anymore. Right. So now I grow up and I'm really guarded. I'm really good at just going inward when I have something wrong with me, et cetera, and not letting people get too close. Even girls like, oh, I can smash, or we could do whatever, we could talk, but I'm never going to give you my heart.
Yeah.
But with Danae, none of them guards stayed up. So I was scared because I know like I'm feeling something I've never felt before, and I don't want to mess this up. I know she's too good for me. So like, God, help me become somebody I'm not, because I don't know what I'm doing here.
So during that time, you wasn't the type to be monogamous, was you? You just said
I didn't have no relationship to be monogamous in. I was doing my thing, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and so this one, you just said, why'd you want to give it all up for her?
I felt something with her I never felt before, but it was emotionally based. Looking back at it now, it's like, man, I was so unprepared, and for something like that, you don't know how important that role is, you and playing somebody's life where you're going to give them your heart and they're going to give you theirs.
Yeah.
You hand somebody the keys to your sanity, your physical health, and so many other things. But we were taught later, you know, if you love somebody, you just go be there.
Yep.
And you trial and error.
Yep.
And there's a high price to pay for trial and error, as we both learned.
So as y'all were dating each other in college, what that looked like? Were y'all what grade were you in at that time?
I was a sophomore. Second year, she was a freshman.
All right, so sophomore and freshman, second year, and you were like, this is my woman. Were you exclusive with her during that time?
The first couple of months I was exclusive. I don't know if I ever had the proper boundaries, but for me it was like, you know, of course, don't cheat. Don't go sleep with another girl. But I would say after that honeymoon phase, the first 2 months is when I can remember. I don't remember the exact thing, but I remember feeling really rejected by her. And I didn't know what was behind that because, okay, I don't have aggressive energy towards a woman except in intimacy. And so how I would express my affection oftentimes was aggressive. Like, I want to pick her up. Yeah. I don't just kiss her. I pin her up against the wall, put my hand around. I'm not trying to get graphic. Yeah. There's context here. So, I come up behind her and hug on her, you know, kind of aggressive. But that would make her really, really shut down. And I didn't know what was going on. I felt rejected, like, why you don't want to kiss me? My breath stink or something like that? So we would have, and not only was she shut down, then it would be tension. It would be almost hostile. So again, this wasn't until about a month and a half, 2 months in, where it was like, now it's back-to-back things. Now I come up on the kiss her and she like kind of pushing away. She can't stay far enough away from me. She's kind of mean towards me. And it's kind of a flip side. And I didn't know part of what I was feeling didn't have nothing to do with the relationship. It was much deeper. But I remember like, man, my breath getting short. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I ain't never been so sensitive to rejection, because we all get rejected, but this the first time I felt that. And what felt safer was to go out and at least have friendships with other girls. Just the conversation felt like receptiveness, like acceptance again. Mm-hmm. But those loose boundaries turned into no boundaries. So, you know, if we continued to clash and she continued to pull away or what have you, and I'm not getting no answers or whatever, especially in my prideful state, I'm thinking, man, she got me effed up. So I'm over here doing the right thing, and she over here acting like I ain't nothing. So now there's a party tonight, or there's a girl on campus, and then she got her own dorm room. And that's whenever I started messing around. Which is interesting. Now I realize something. You were trying to be on the straight and narrow, and that aggressive personality that you had, because she told me, well, she told us on the podcast that she had experienced a rape 2 weeks before y'all met. Yeah, so she, you didn't know nothing about. I didn't know about that till 5 years later. Exactly. I don't know if she wants to speak on it, so I won't go in depth, but there was another instance of rape in that same 30-day span before she met me. So I didn't know to the level or at all that I was dealing with a rape survivor. Even if I knew that, I probably wouldn't have known how exactly to handle it. That, yeah. But certain forms, and we covered this later on in our marriage therapy, but because this was a pattern. everything that happened that was really painful was really one long repetitive pattern.
Right.
Me feeling rejected for this, that, and the other. And she handles, becoming okay again a certain way. But I didn't know certain forms of affection that were natural to me just felt scary to her, put her back in a certain space where, certain things had happened. So, yeah.
And that's so interesting. It's like,
I want to pause that real quick. We can't gloss over that. Him talking about his style of affection and her being a survivor of rape and how that set them apart. Now, I don't believe he's remotely lying about that. I believe a lot of men and women go through this because, and the reason I say this is because of the numbers, just the raw numbers of 1 in 3 women have experienced some sort of, sexual trauma of some sort in their lifetime. And so if 1 in 3, that means on average, most couples deal with this. And if a lot of women haven't dealt with it, a lot of men are probably doing things that might put their women in a particular space to where they respond out of trauma. So I'm not going to dismiss that at all, but I just wanted to tap into it because it's very likely to be something that's more common than anybody actually ever speaks about or even gives life to. Would you guys like to go ahead and give y'all perspective on that?
It's one of those things where, and Lauren just kind of brought that up, we don't have enough conversations about it. So a lot of, even in that day and age, or even prior to them, when things happened to me, it was just there were no safe spaces to speak. And I don't think we created any type of safe spaces until maybe recently, in the last 5, maybe 10 years, when the Me Too movement happened, where women start kind of sharing that information globally. And I think prior to that, even when women would share that information with men they were dating, I don't think most men knew how to process it.
No.
So it would come across like, oh, he don't even care. Or, this is just, and then some dudes would literally say, well, that's just how men act.
Right. Or I remember, I promise y'all I'm not joking. If I could find this Twitter thread, it was in the 2000s, and it asked a question. It says, men, if your girlfriend was out one night and she was, sexually assaulted in the worst fashion, what do you do? And I'm telling you, the thread from men, and these were men, and these were those of the, it was a lot of white men, because Twitter, I read this thread, and it was, sadly, I hate to say there was some humor in it because it's dark humor, and I hate that it goes there, but they were just pretty much like, get rid of this woman. You don't even want to be in a relationship. And I think
she's tainted.
She not even just tainted, but we can't deal with that. A lot of it was like, it's not, because if we're talking girlfriend, because they were talking your girlfriend, they didn't say wife. If this is your girlfriend, they're like, we got to get out of this, because, and I think it was stemming from, because what do we do with that? As men, we ain't even scratched the surface of how to deal with that when it comes to our daughters, our sisters, our friends. Somebody that I know I want to go to bed with every night. How do I deal with that? Leave. That was what most dudes were saying. Leave. Get rid of her. Keep it moving. You don't even want to go through that. And so how can women even have a safe place to say, I've been through something, when the men will move past you once you've said that you've been through something?
No, I'll say it sounds horrible, and in actuality, it is, because you would hope that people would have more empathy, would show more empathy, and have more sympathy for people that has suffered from something so heinous. On the flip side of that, I understand, because that's a lot to deal with in a person. And that's a traumatic experience that needs professional help to deal with. And it's the average man is not equipped to walk with somebody through that. I mean, if it's a girlfriend, because girlfriend boyfriend relationships are not held to the standard of a marriage.
Right.
In marriage, we are taught that you go through things together, and it's till death do you part. You figure it out. When you just exclusively dating somebody, there's the door is always unlocked for you to just walk out without any repercussions. So I can understand where a lot of men would choose to walk out, because that's a lot to help someone carry. And if a man stays with him, my hat's off to him. I give him all the respect in the world. But if a man leaves, I wouldn't demonize him, because I can, he's not equipped to walk that person through that. But it is something that definitely needs to be discussed, so that the average man can learn learn to show some empathy to women who have suffered through a traumatic experience like that.
Go ahead and speak, Lauren. I know you was gonna tap in.
Okay.
I believe that in the case of Derrick Jaxn and Danae, they both were very young. So regardless of who he is now, what he did, even how he was acting back then or whatever, this rape thing, definitely a 19-year-old boy, because that's what he was. I know, 18 is the age of majority and you're considered an adult, but we're still children at that age.
Oh, absolutely.
We are still children at that age.
The prefrontal cortex ain't fully developed. He's not equipped. No way.
Right. So a 19-year-old boy has even if he knew,
he wouldn't
even if he knew, he was not equipped to handle that. She wasn't equipped to handle her own, as he said, because I believe him on this part. As he said, she was his aggressive style sexually was triggering to her, rightfully so, but she did not feel safe enough to say that. But I watched her interview. She didn't feel safe enough to even tell her own mama. She said that she spent the night in the place where she got raped and did not go home. So she didn't tell her mom anything. So why would she tell that to some guy that she just met? You know what I'm saying? And he wouldn't have been equipped to handle it anyway. So, and I think that, especially at such a young age, most men are not, and a lot of men are, because they haven't even processed their own trauma from their own rapes, because a lot of men were raped and we don't call it rape.
Yeah.
Say that
99%. And just as much as I talk to a lot of women, I talk to a lot of men. People open up to me. 99% of the men, and I'm not making this up, who I have asked them, when did you break your virginity? They were always underage, and it was always an older girl or a grown ass woman.
Listen, let me pause you right there. Real talk, man. When it came to even my peer group, and I didn't think about this at the time. I was 16, my first time, and she was 16. Like, what I'm saying? And it's funny the wording that the man used in this interview, because the wording that he used with Derrick Jaxn was, "When did you lose your virginity?" Let me, just that word alone, the word losing means that somebody took
it, right?
Because he's hurt, and that's a Freudian slip. He didn't mean it like that, because for me it was, hey, when did you finally get it in? And I made it clear to people, now there was no loss, there was even exchange. She was 16, I was 16.
Common term.
You know, I do think it's a common term. No, I'm not. But what I'm saying is, the word lost also it's buried inside the fact that it's not a mutual exchange between a peer. You see what I'm saying? It really is, because in my experience compared to other peers' experiences, I realized that I was like almost one of few when I was like, no, she was 16, I was 16. It was an even exchange. We planned it. We plotted it. Her mom was gone that day. I snuck over there. I rode the bus. You know what I'm saying? It was a horrible experience based on what I know things should be. The blind was leading the blind. We didn't know what we was doing. That's different from when a boy encounters an older girl or a woman, and he doesn't. You see, but we, like you said, Lauren, we don't call it that. We just don't. Even right now, if you polled men would flat out be like, man, that nigga gay, complaining about he was 16 and she was 20. Man, that man gay. Man, gay, man. Yeah, I would enjoy that, man. You gay. We don't call it that.
Right.
So I'm gonna be my fault.
I want to say this one thing. Just as much, the conversation around girls and older guys get so much airtime.
Yeah.
Right? And the whole talking about, girls being fast and wanting it, and they date these guys, and that's true. But when you're in your 20s and you're with a teenager, like, you know better. Same thing for women. And I've had men tell me, when I speak about it from that lens back to them, I've had men tell me, well, no, I was I was asking for it, because at 15, 16, I don't care what you were asking for. You're a child.
You don't know what's good for you. You don't know what's good for
exactly. But that grown ass woman knows.
Right.
Yeah. So it's on both sides, but the conversation around when it happens to boys is really lacking.
Go ahead, Jamil. I know you wanted to tap in right there.
Yeah. I think everything that's being discussed right now is dope for context. I think it's amazing context, and it gives insight into why each of them are the way they are. But realistically, bruh, none of this shit has to do with anything today, with his actions today with his wife, if I'm being really honest with you. And I'm not trying to, it annoys me.
I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You're right.
No, that's true.
You're like, this is great. This is great for content. This is great. But this don't apply to you.
This shit has nothing to do with today. And I'm not saying it'd be one thing if she got raped 3 weeks ago. You track what I'm saying? It'd be one thing if, I get that. You feel me? Even if it was 6 months ago and it affected your marriage, bro, you were whole married, fam.
Yeah.
This shit happened within what, a year now? It's going on a year or so?
Yeah. No.
Like, come on, bro.
Within 2 months, of them being together, this happened to her, and he was already cheating.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That's the point that I'm making, bro. We're not talking about how her rape affected him. This, like, the idea that we even getting off of the fact that this nigga been who he was before he got here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild to me that we're discussing this idea of, like, yo, her rape this and his virginity that. None of that shit matters, bro. If I'm being really real with you, like, if we really talking about the situation at hand, fam, yes, cool. It's fucked up that you went through what you went through. The idea that you had the aggressive nature with sex, I think that shit is nasty in and of itself. That's nasty work, as the Nigerians say. You track what I'm saying? I'm not against aggressive sex. I just think that there's a horrible idea of, like, that whole beat the pussy up culture that really could be. We could discuss that shit for hours on end. You track what I'm saying? I don't want to go into that. I don't want to go into that. But if we really talking about the subject at hand, bro, even after she got raped, even if she didn't communicate it to you, fam, there's something. Bro, I'm 36. You track what I'm saying? I've been in love with women since I was about 12, 13 years old. And I've been cognizant of how my behavior made a fucking girl felt from young. Maybe it was because I had a single mother and I was raised with 7 women in my fucking house. It very well could have been that. You see what I'm saying? It's very possible. I'm not going to sit here in front like I ain't have female influence, but I've been cognizant of how my behavior made women feel. You understand what I'm saying? You telling me your girl, you in your teens, you ain't dumb. You track what I'm saying? Like I hear this, oh, he's a boy. How can he handle that? He's a boy. I'm not even knocking what you're saying, Ma. I'm just not making no excuses for this specific situation because realistically, if you put me in a situation where my significant other is feeling some type of way with sex, bro, I'm going to say, oh, damn, Ma, what's going on? Why you feeling like that? What happened? I'm going to ask questions. You track what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense to me. This whole conversation I liked it aggressive. And when she did that, it felt like rejection. You're a fucking cornball. Right. You're a cornball, fam. You're a cornball. You mad you ain't get to hit it the way you wanted to hit it. You feel me? Get fuck out of here. Like that's corny. That's corny, listen, bro. That's corny.
And I'm gonna tell listen, bro, I'm gonna that, and that's why what bothers me about that is like it did not matter whether he could have been hitting it the way he wanted it. He still was going to do something with somebody else.
That's the point. Yo, exactly. That's what he was going to do. But even if we remove the fact that that's who he was before the jump from Jump Street, you track what I'm saying? My point is this and this alone. This nigga rested his hat on the fact that her rape made him feel rejected. The way she felt about aggressive sex made her. You're so much of a coward that you can't even sit in the fact that you failed to communicate with your significant other in the moment where she was uncomfortable, that you got to blame her for you not being able to beat the pussy up. Bro, grow up, bro.
I have
grow up. I'm sorry. I hate to sound so angry. Frank know how I get down with this specific topic. You know, I post about this shit regularly. I cannot stand these conversations with dudes around it. And they really be thinking they doing something around this whole conversation. A whole nigga commented on one of my posts and said he's been known to tilt a uterus. Like, bro, I really want you to put this. I want you to think that's how pervasive this whole narrative is. Baby. That's what I'm saying. This whole thing, I'm not saying it's real. I know he capping. The point that I'm making is this mindset is really pervasive. You track what I'm saying? It's super pervasive. So much so that this cornball was going to use the idea of aggressive sex. Nigga, you 16, you don't know what aggressive sex is.
He only thing you can do at that time is mock porn.
Let's also keep in mind that this was not his significant other because they weren't even officially in a relationship.
Right.
You go back and listen to her interview.
Yeah.
In a relationship, they both they liked each other and they were doing their thing. And even when they did get in a relationship, he never stopped.
Never. I'm gonna go ahead and hit play. I'm gonna go ahead and hit play because we getting a little bit ahead of it, but there are no indicators by anything he said or anything that he will say that it made a difference of who she was in that moment. It didn't matter who the woman was. To me, you were just a dude that was going to do what you were going to do. I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
I'm getting understanding. It's like you have this woman who has experienced this huge violation of her body, her soul, her spirit, this brokenness. She meets this guy who she says she just loved the mess. She loved your dirty draws. You're wanting to show your affection. You grabbing her by her neck. You being aggressive physically, from a sexual standpoint. She's getting nervous. She's getting triggered on all levels. Don't even realize that she's being triggered like this. She's closing up rejection to you because you've experienced that growing up. Mom no longer is kissing you and tucking you in bed at night, rejection. So now you're like, well, now I'm going to go self-medicate. I have this history of looking at porn, and now the way I self-medicate is watching this. So now I'm going to do the outward extension of that. Yeah. Now I'm over here hanging out with girls. One thing leads to another. Now you over here smashing. Now it's triggering her. How did she ever find out when you first cheated on her?
Well, we were both triggering each other and didn't know it.
Right.
I was triggering her with my affection. She was triggering me.
You see what I'm talking about, bro? You see what I'm talking about, bro? Please tell me you see what I'm talking about, bro.
Oh shit!
You see what I'm talking about?
Did you see
This
my
nigga
face?
can't
I'm
help
sitting there like,
himself.
Let me talk first. Hold on.
We were triggering each other, bro. She was raped, my nigga. Like, what are you talking about?
no.
Oh my God, that's what he said.
Her rejection was triggering. Her rejecting him was triggering his rejection issues, and his pursuit was triggering her issues with her trauma.
I'm really about to run a background, bro. I'm about to run a background check on this nigga because I guarantee you, him and his mother had an amazing relationship. He's fucking lying.
He's saying he felt rejected, so when she would reject him, well, he would pursue her aggressively, and that triggered her, and then her rejecting him would trigger him, which is why he started to step out. That's some dope shit, bro. Let me write that shit down.
Oh,
I'm gonna write that shit
Jesus
down.
of Nazareth.
I'm gonna write that shit down.
Son, I'm really asking, and I'm gonna shut the fuck up if it makes sense to y'all. That shit makes sense to y'all? Like, seriously?
It sounds like an excuse.
It sounds like some shit
to be abusive, you know, mentally and emotionally. That's all it sounds like, is a fucking excuse.
Yeah, it sounds like he's looking for excuse.
I'm gonna say it makes sense, but it's not an excuse. I'm gonna say that.
Lauren, I'd agree with you then. I'd agree with you then if he went back to his fucking wife. Let me explain something to you, right? This is my 2 cents.
We talking about they weren't even married, so that's what they're talking about right now, because him and Laterras went back. He's talking about back in the day, so we're talking about a specific time period. We're not talking about right now, because that doesn't excuse all the other stuff, right? We're just talking about this, you know, the rejection and the aggressiveness and all of that. That is some real stuff, right? And he did not know that she was raped. Was that an excuse for him going to sleep with other girls? No, and he didn't need an excuse because they weren't even together. But it does not excuse the way he's treated her this entire time. That's something that I said after watching the whole thing. And well, even before watching the whole thing, my thing was, what can you say to refute anything that she said? Because this is not only about him cheating. I do not armchair diagnose people, and I don't believe in calling everybody a narcissist, because there's no way for us to know. This guy right here, he's a narcissist, and it has nothing to do with him cheating. Cheating don't make you a narcissist. It makes you a cheater. Okay? This dude right here is not just about him cheating. It's the way he treated her the entire time. It's his reactions to things when they became public. Take away anything that Danae came on the podcast and said. I'm talking about what Derrick Jaxn showed of himself to the public, the way he handled all 2 or 3 or 4 times that shit have come out. The way he handled the situation with the public, the way he handled it with his wife, the way he doesn't even care. He has no conscience. He has no.
No, that's a fact. I don't disagree. What I'm saying is, if we're discussing context to what's happening today, I'm not saying the context doesn't matter. I'm saying, because I watched this shit. That's probably why I'm feeling the way that I am. You track what I'm saying? I watched this shit already. You know what I'm saying? From where I'm standing, in order for any of this context to be valid, in my personal opinion, especially since they were together from when they were young, they were kids. You track what I'm saying? The only way that the things that he's saying would make any sense for it to be applicable today is if he was still with his wife. And the reason why I'm saying that is because him staying with her and her staying with him lets me know they were both mature enough to understand that they were growing up and making horrible decisions to each other. You understand what I'm saying? There was a great deal of empathy. I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. This situation, this ain't that. He left her. She was begging this nigga to come the fuck home, from what I remember.
Yep. And for what you're saying, you can't even say he's holding himself accountable, because if he was, he would still be with his wife.
Because I'm telling you,
He does not give a fuck.
And that's why, because let me tell you something, man. When you hold yourself accountable, you flat out say, this is what I've done, and this is what I either am or have been. And it stops right there.
Right there. It's a wrap. Right there.
It stops right there. It don't say, well, you know, I also was led down the path because no. I cheated. That's what I was doing. I have to reconcile that shit. And the conversation then turns, you're no longer talking to the public. You're then not sitting with your significant other saying, yo, I got some work to do. That's it.
Bro, this man is so afraid of accountability. Do you remember the first time he sat Shorty down on the internet and had her looking stupid, bro?
Bro, we remember.
This nigga was talking about himself in the third person like it wasn't him he was talking about. Like, that's what we dealing with right now. Like,
I took notes. I promise y'all. I ever get in some heat over here at the Hill household. Things go left, bro. I'm sitting down right here. I'm holding hands. I'm strong arming. I'm gonna run the same play, and I'm gonna do it publicly, and y'all better have my back. All y'all that I seen, all you Derrick Jaxn, I know not to tag y'all because y'all gonna try to hold me accountable, and I know what to do when you got people in your life to try to hold you accountable.
We're gonna come get your wife and save her from you. I'm gonna go pick up Morgan. Like, we gotta go get her. Come on.
Yeah, dude, trash, bro. I just can't imagine 16 or not, bro, or whatever age. I can't imagine being with my girlfriend. You feel me? She's feeling apprehensive about the sex, and I feel rejected about her apprehension instead of asking question. That's crazy to me, fam. That's crazy to me. That shit indicates one or two things to me. Either you don't even know what pussy smell like, and you desperate. Or you just like
I mean, you gotta think of that age though. That does factor in. I mean, when I had my situation, it happened. I was 19. A month later, I ended up dating a man who would knock me across the head for the next 2 years. And I told him exactly what happened to me. And his retort was, well, I can be better in bed and make you forget it.
Yo, what the fuck? I'm going on mute, bro. I'm going on mute.
No, I know. He said he going home. You know, and Jamel, you're probably more of an exception than, because I give credit where it's due. I give credit to Frank. You know what I'm saying? Some of his viewpoints and standards, and from where I've known him since we've been young, I know my partner is an exception among most of my peers and amongst men in general. Jamel, you're probably an exception in a lot of ways to this. You know what I'm saying? You probably have more awareness than a lot of dudes, because I'm telling you, I deal with so many young people, and seeing how their brains are maneuvering situations. I pull a young dude to a side, no matter what the situation. I'm like, bro, what was you thinking? And they be like,
yo, well, honestly, I don't even know if it's an awareness thing, no, G. Like, I'm really just thinking about a human being, fam. Like, I sit back and I watch a lot of the conversation around whole phases too. You feel me? I sit back and watch. Nobody ever stops to think about the fact that a lot of women who do have whole phases tend to have been sexually assaulted, fam. Yeah, for the most part, they tend to be. Nobody ever stops to be like, "Oh yeah, she's right."
We talked about that on here before. We gotta acknowledge that.
Situation.
But nobody's. You're right. Young dudes ain't having. That's not a young dude conversation. Look, me and Frank, we had that conversation on here. We in our 40s now. We just now having this talk. I promise you, when old girl down the road was letting dudes come through her crib and run a train, it didn't dawn on me at that time. Not me. I never partook. I know those that did. Never did I think to tell my homeboy that I was going to run down there, hey, bro, do you know that girl probably went through something and she don't even know what she's doing? Never. It never dawned on me to speak that into my boy, because my brain wasn't registering that.
I mean, I get it. Maybe you ain't thinking like that. I don't know, bro. I talk to the women that I've ever dealt with in my life. Every single, literally from the time I started dating. Now, we have these conversations. You feel me? I just talk to them. That's it. I talk to them. The idea that you can't have a conversation with this person and just ask a question, bro, is what's escaping me. That shit's escape. You have to really just be like, I don't give a fuck. Like you really gotta just
But
be
that's
like,
the
yeah,
thing.
I don't give a fuck.
It's not that they
So here,
don't want to know. It's just they
go
don't
ahead,
know
Chef.
what to say.
They don't know what they don't know the questions to ask in the moment because they don't know the it's like you don't know what you don't know. It's you know what I'm saying? It's you don't know what you don't know. So Neil deGrasse Tyson has that quote, and they ask him all the time, you know, what's the, you know, what is your biggest fear? Or what is this, that, and the third? And he says, my biggest fear, I don't know if I'm getting this right, but he says, I don't have the awareness to ask the questions to get the answers to things that I would want to know. And then when you think about it, like, I don't even know what questions to ask. So in a moment, a young dude might not even know to say, to really say, hey, why are you reacting to me wanting to run up and hug you from behind? He probably, and I'm not justifying old dude's behavior at all. I'm just saying that
Not you being polarizing. I got you.
Yeah. I'm just saying the lack of awareness among young men, which is why we got to have these conversations, which is also why fathers got to have these conversations with sons. You know what I'm saying? Like mothers are having these conversations with daughters. It's starting to pick up. Like Lauren said, our generation now is having these conversations. Fathers with sons, uncles with nephews, elder males with their mentees. Start chopping it up with a dude. Say, if that old girl's sitting closed off to herself like that, and she's not willing to participate, and she looks a little shell-shocked, don't just laugh and giggle when she's running around with a big coat on all the time, and all the other girls dressing comfortably, but she's dressing in baggy and this. Maybe she's trying to hide her figure because maybe she's got to walk through a house with men that are approaching her like a grown-ass woman. You think she wants to be a tomboy. She wants to wear girl clothes, but she's got hips at 13. She better not.
Right.
The only thing for boys is going to do, why she want to dress like one of us? She must be a dyke. You see what I'm saying?
That makes sense. That makes sense. It does make sense. It does make sense.
We're very unaware.
I think so. There's a difference between boys and girls, right? So girls are given this talk earlier and more often about, you know, watching out for, don't let anybody touch you in private places and all of this stuff, right? Girls are made more aware, and girls can talk about their experiences with one another if they, you know what I'm saying, if they so happen to figure out they've both had the same experience. And it's from the lens of, they know that it's not right. They know that something is wrong with that. Mm-hmm. So girls can be sympathetic toward each other. Mm-hmm. Guys are not going to have that same reaction in general. Jay, you are an exception.
Yeah, you're an exception, bro. I'm telling you.
It's not right or wrong. It's not right or wrong. It's just the facts and the circumstances. People are raised differently, and then people also have their own person. There's a lot that goes into that. Guys, when it happens to them, they don't think it's wrong. So they would not know how to process a girl telling them something like that. They wouldn't know how, like, I don't know. I just feel like the sympathy or the empathy being there, not that they don't, you know, have compassion, but they don't know what to do with that. It happens to them and it's supposed to be okay. You know what I'm saying? On top of men not even being able to show feelings and emotions. And the other thing is women, and I know that there are women who were molested and stuff like that by other women as well. But women are from very young made hyper aware of, this is what a man can do to you to violate you, right? Boys don't have that same, because no, like, people don't even I feel like even if boys are like told something, it's also about men. It's like women get a pass. Nobody's really talking about, like, tell me if a woman does such and such. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like women are pure angels and do no wrong.
Yeah.
And women are out here flying under the radar because of that. And boys are not as protected. For that reason, boys are not as protected as girls. Boys are not as watched. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not a thing. Like, nobody just thinks, oh, a woman is going to do this to a boy, because women are looked at as being like the better protectors and nurturers of children.
Right.
You will leave your children with a woman before you leave them with a man, if you left them with a man at all.
Right. No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and play the rest of this because we got a little bit more to get to, but I'm gonna go ahead and play the rest of this real quick.
I didn't just continuously, because I had this weird thing, man, where I would do it and feel guilty.
Would you tell?
Man, I'm
would
tripping. No, heck no. Okay. No. So I would do it and be like, oh man, all right, you messed up, you did your thing. Again, bro, we kids at this point. We 19,
so would the
20
girls
years
be
old.
running back to it?
Nah, they didn't do that either. I don't even know if those particular girls knew we were together.
You walked around holding hands on campus. Wasn't
not all of them was on campus. Not all of them was on campus.
Yeah,
we talking. I'm trying to dig back because this is 15 years ago.
A long time ago.
But I remember. I don't know how she knew. I don't think the original one or two or whatever she knew about. But I know we had a falling out because her and her friend, she suspected or something. Her and her friend used to have this thing on Facebook called Honesty Box. And it was where basically you send anonymous messages or whatever. So her and her friend had set up to send me anonymous messages to try to see if I would bite on the bait of another girl trying to flirt with me or something like that. I would have this, and it's again pattern. I'm cheating, now I'm faithful. Now I'm cheating, now I'm faithful. So in this point, I was faithful.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, no more girls. I felt terrible. That ain't it. We done made up or something. Like somehow we get to talking and we back in love again. So this Honesty Box message is coming in. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Nah, I got a girl. And then I'm hearing ding in the other room. We got a apartment here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I sent another message, ding, went into the room, her inboxes, and I'm like, oh. So we fell out. She suspected me of cheating at that point, but she wasn't right about that.
Yeah.
And then from there, man, it was kind of all downhill because we got into a really bad argument and, all this other stuff.
Well, she said that in the times where she would catch you back in college, she would never tell you anyway. She would go in the closet and cry, and then you'd come and be like, hey, everything cool? And she'd be like, yeah, everything fine.
Well,
she'll say, it's my dad. I'm grieving the loss of my dad.
Yeah, that was a communication style, period. Without cheating, I may say something that offended her. I learned later on in therapy with her that sometimes my facial expressions while I'm listening would trigger her because I think her dad or something like had that going on. So a million things could be wrong with her, but then again, this dynamic of I'm begging for her to tell me what's wrong, and she don't. And I could take rejection maybe 1 or 2 days, but after 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months, now I'm starting to check out and detach without actually leaving. So it wasn't just the cheating that she wasn't talking about. She literally, if she had an issue, she held it in until she blew up.
She said that. She said she held something in for like 10 years and then blew up.
A lot of stuff, man. It wasn't just that. It was a constant thing of, communication is key, but you're not communicating. And so I'm over here begging, trying. Because sometimes I'll be doing stuff and I wouldn't know it was bothering her. So for instance, I was kind of a flirt. So I would say, hey, beautiful or whatever to a girl, think nothing of it. But then she would hear that and be like, you call me beautiful. So understandably, she's offended. She's upset. Like, what, you tripping. Like, don't play with me like that. But she don't say anything. So she wasn't vocal, but she was expressive. Because it ain't like she just didn't talk. She showed that she was upset, but it was with, again, rejection, hostility, name calling, walking off middle of conversation. And that go on for weeks up until.
Bro.
That's a lot.
Bro. This motherfucker.
So I'm gonna give him a pass, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah, explain.
At that age, I can't see. I don't know of any guy that would have handled it any differently.
That would have did what?
That would have handled the situation any differently. Every guy I knew when I was that age was super petty, and it was some tit for tat all the time, and things were just it was just an unhealthy exchange of energy. Now, once he got in his mid to late 20s, at that point, it was more capitalizing on bad energy that you've already created.
Yeah.
So he doesn't get a pass at then. But that 19 to about 22, I don't know no guy that would have handled it any different. Frank might be the only one.
Yeah, Frank and Jamel.
Maybe.
I think the only thing I do differently in that moment at that age, if that much is going on, is I tap out. That would have been me. I'm like, oh, listen, this is too much for me. I'm tapping out. I'm not digging in. But I'm definitely not gonna. I can be honest. I'm not gonna nurture it. I'm not gonna fix it. I'm not gonna try to figure it out. If you give me that much drama at that age and stage of my life, if there's any now, the part where he was saying my issue, the part where this motherfucker was talking about, I'm a flirt. I'm saying, hey, beautiful, but I don't realize it's a problem. Nigga, stop lying, bro. I was 12 when I understood that you don't play that game. Hold on. There's never there was never a point where I ever would have been standing next to a woman that I am supposed to be involved with on any level, and then talking about some hey beautiful to somebody that's not my daughter.
Ain't no way in hell.
No way. He
Bro,
is lying.
I was in fucking first grade,
liar.
bro.
I have a question though.
Go ahead.
He's a blatant liar, bro.
Answer me this, and Jamel might agree with me on this. Y'all believe what he just said?
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe because listen, when my
thing is like first of all, look at his content and who he is. This dude knows exactly what to say.
Yeah.
To make the situation and to make it seem like he's just being honest, right? He knows what to say. He knows how to play his cards. Oh yeah, she was doing this and that. So of course he would have these reactions. And and they were both young, right? So he's playing the I'm not really trying to throw her under the bus, but I am throwing her under the bus by making it look like I'm not throwing her under the bus. I'm just holding myself accountable.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling both sides of the story while I'm holding my. But I'm not just ragging on her. I'm telling my side too. So I'm not throwing her under the bus, but I'm throwing her ass under the bus. She dead.
He not throwing her under the bus. He driving the bus too. He's backing that bitch up. It's bloop, bloop, right over her ass.
That part.
But I want to tap into something real quick. See, like there are certain things that men say when men say them, it sells everything. It throws everything away. I like I just said, when he said I'm a flirt, and I would say hey beautiful, and when she would say something, I didn't know why she was mad. Bro, y'all two, please dive into this because there is no way no man with any. You don't need that much sense. Remember that video we showed of that little young of them little 2-year-olds, and that one 2-year-old and that little 2-year-old girl walked up while the 2-year men. This is ingrained in us to know. Oh shit, I know what not to say or do around my woman. He was trying her to see what he can get away with. That's what he was doing. That was almost grooming. See, I'm finna test this water. Hey, beautiful. So when I do something later, oh, that's just him. That's
bro, it wasn't almost grooming at all, bro. It was fucking grooming. If you remember her podcast episode, Shorty literally said.
You probably might
Shorty
say what
literally.
Go ahead.
Shorty literally flat out said, G, that she was dressing like the other bitches to keep this nigga's attention, fam.
And trying their sex moves too.
That's what I'm talking about. See,
but let's go to what he said. We haven't gotten there in the
yeah,
recording.
it's coming up next. It's coming.
But
up
I
next.
want to say this. He did say, because to your point, Manuel, he did say later in his interview that Danae always wanted to present herself as perfect to him, like she didn't want to mess up her position in his eyes. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said.
I'm gonna get to that part. Yeah.
So off top, what you were saying about
So when y'all graduated at high school.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead. You go ahead and finish your thought.
Oh no, I was just saying.
I think that's a test because I know what meant. Because I've done. Listen, I've done things. Man, listen, man. I've done things to test limits to see what I can get away with later. I'm not gonna call you for 48 hours, and then I'm gonna call you like nothing happened. That's a test. See, we know who we can get away with what. So when I dang, I missed you I ain't spoke to you in 2 days. What's going on? Listen, I've known which women I can get away with that shit. This one right here.
Are you triggering me already?
Look, this one right here. If I don't call her in 48 hours, I might as well not call her for the rest of my life. This one right here, I'm testing, and I know I can get, depending on the status relationship. I'm not saying all, but men know what they can try with who, and certain things we will put out there to see, okay, let me see if I can get away with that real quick. And that's what I think he was doing with that hey beautiful thing to other women while she was sitting there. Because I'm telling you, as all men, we know, man, bro, there's not a woman I've ever been in the presence of that I would have ever felt comfortable flirting with a woman on some hey beautiful shit. Unless I was in a crazy situation and the woman gave me the green light to flirt and she wanted to witness it. I'm telling you, it never. And I've been in some real testy situations where I might have had the green light, still wasn't able to do it.
I ain't gonna date.
So when y'all graduated high school, graduated college, what was the state of y'all relationship? Y'all
we had just broken up. So I found out about her and a gentleman. I think she mentioned on the last podcast.
She said that she was trying to get you jealous or make you jealous about a coworker that she said we created this thing to make it look like this is somebody I was dating to make you jealous, but
we remember that differently. If I pick that cup up and I pour with the contents in it in my mouth and I swallow, did I make it look like I was drinking? So we've always differed on this, by the way. So I'm not trying to just stir nothing up. No, so I had a nonprofit when I was in college. I wanted to tutor and mentor all this other stuff. So one of the things we did was we held events. I had a Christmas event that was like that previous December toward the end of college. And I had saw her and the gentleman, the young guy, speaking for like an hour. Now, up until this point, Danae had always like tried to kind of be perfect in my eyes. Like I think she thought if she ever showed a flaw, whatever, I would just leave or something like that. So I was like, this is bold, at my event. It's like hundreds of people in there, but I can see her just chatting it up. So from December all the way until we graduated that late May or something like that, I had seen the cars together. I had seen all these different things.
And this is the coworker that she had.
Yeah, coworker and a classmate or something like that. So fast forward, and I'm thinking at this point, first off, we already coordinated where we're going to work after school. We're going to be in the same state, because I'm thinking like, I'm gonna do this. But at this point, I think it was really a lot of what she had been holding in because I had been unfaithful. I had cheated and all this other stuff. I think she never fully expressed herself on how that affected her. So at this point, I think it started bubbling up to where she got really hostile. Like, man, I don't care what you say. So she's out overnight. It's like, I went to sleep at the gas station. I'm like, went to sleep at the gas station? Went out again overnight.
Oh, y'all were staying together?
We were staying together.
Okay.
We had started staying together like, we were shacking up like year 2.
So you said, so she left the house and then come back the next morning?
Till like 9, 10 in the morning. And this was unlike her. She was not this type of girl, but she's wearing makeup now. I know she got some hood rat friends from Sonic where she work, and I know she hanging with them, but I'm like, what is she doing? I'm not sure who's involved. So she did that 2 nights in a row. Then one night I came home. I forget where I was at. I wasn't doing, at this point, I wasn't doing anything. I kept going up and down. Came home in the shower. I came in just like me, bro. I'm very affectionate. My number one love language is physical touch. So first thing I do is give my kiss and hug. She's in the shower. I go right up in there, and while she's in the shower, she's wet, and she's like, and I'm like, "What's up, baby?" Kissed her. Came on out, and the phone is on the counter with the messages up. And he's like, "Is he home? Can I slide?" And I'm looking real quick, and I see the name. She jumped out, wet, snatched the phone, and I was like, "Oh boy." Went to the living room. I searched the name on Facebook, saw some stuff, and I was like, "That's the guy that she was talking." So, long story short, man, that was a big blow up, and we broke up. And then years later, I had heard from some people he was around about what actually took place, and that after we broke up, she had went and stayed the night, and they did whatever they did. And it wasn't until we were married, because we had this thing where, hey, tell every sexual experience you've ever had.
Yeah.
Where we were married, and she finally, after he done died a couple months earlier, said what all had actually transpired.
So she admitted to it.
Well, she did. She said, well, she didn't have sex while we were together, but it was afterwards. Me, I'm like, it pales in comparison to what I did. I am not gonna get mad. Like, let's just keep it all the way G, so we can sweep this away and get on to the next chapter. But we had the direct answers. We broke up. We broke up because of that. Her and whoever, I didn't care. I moved on, did my thing, but we stayed in touch. And when she moved where she moved to, we kind of reconnected sexually.
She said that at that point, well, first of all, let's go back to her personality, which is interesting because I've come to find out Danae said she used to be a fighter. She used to swing on people. She said somebody came to that job one day, she done fought people. She
I didn't know that part of her, but I mean, she's spoken of being willing to, but I didn't know that part of her.
Yeah, she said she was known to throw hands, and I was like, really? I was like, she's like,
yo, am I the only one? I'm sorry. Am I the only one picking up on how shady this bitch ass nigga is being right now?
Hold on. No, he definitely is. But hold on, I wanna, because that would, I don't know that part of her. She ain't about that. Like, hold on, I want to back up a little bit. This dude. Listen, man. I have known a lot of women that have been in situations with dudes that have stepped out for stretches of time. And I can almost guarantee you, if a woman is still with you after you stepped out for a stretch, at some point, she's going to try you with some of the same shit you did. I'd be willing to bet there's not much I wouldn't be willing to bet on that. If y'all are together for a stretch and you continue to go sneak and cheat on this woman, she will eventually try you in some capacity. How far she takes it, I can't say, because I've been on both sides of this, and I've known women and had to talk them out of doing this because of the results it pays down the road. But at some point in her brain, she will get very cold and callous and think to herself, well, I'm going to move like he's moving. A woman can't outman a man, but that won't stop her from saying, you know what? Let me go see if I will enjoy moving like he's moving. It will happen. Yeah, it will happen.
Love it.
Yeah, it will happen. Now will the woman going back to being their monogamous self? Yes, more than likely true. But if you try that woman long enough, she gonna be like, well, let me go see what soda's like. I'm drinking juice. Let me go see what soda's like. Damn about your feelings. And you bet not say nothing. Like he said, his bitch ass went and sat down on the couch and thought about it because he couldn't say nothing. But now, Jamel, speak to him.
But he's lied about that too. He's lied about that too. If you watched her interview, and the reason I'm saying he's lying, if you watched her interview the way that she told the story, she can't be lying. No woman would paint herself in that light. He did not know about that dude. She set it up to make it look like she was messing with the dude, like to play with his head, and he didn't even notice. She looked like she made herself look stupid. because she was trying to get his attention
And
with
he
some
ain't
other
even-
dude, and he ain't noticed, and he was still too busy doing his thing with other people. He
Right.
did not even notice. So he's sitting up here lying because he done watched her interview. So he done wrote out shit that he was gonna
Oh
say.
yeah.
He's a content creator.
Yeah, that's a good. That's
Then he's
you know
sitting up
what?
here throwing shade, like Jay said, he's sitting up here throwing shade. Oh, her hood rat friends at Sonic where she worked. That was unnecessary.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That like he throwing shit left and right.
And you know, dudes love to do that when they does your friends ain't shit. Your friends ain't shit. See, your friends, the type of friends you got, they the problem. It ain't me that's the problem. It's them friends you got that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
He is a BAN. That's what he is.
You know, and Frank, you just thoroughly entertained. You just want me to hit the play button again. That's all he wants. He thoroughly entertained.
Typically, a lot of surprises. Box of chocolates, man.
She said she threw hands. And so now y'all moved to y'all's respective cities. What city was that? Was this when you moved to Atlanta?
I was in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. No, we went to North Carolina first.
Okay.
Well, and then she was in South Carolina.
And y'all were both single during that stage?
Very single.
You doing your own thing, she doing her own thing?
Her own thing.
But then y'all would just smash every now and then?
Every now and then. But then I would say this lasts about a year and a half. So if she needed me, I came and, like, say, for instance, one time, I worked a 9 to 5 at the time. I was at work, but she had felt really ill and she didn't have no family down there or nothing like that. And I flew back and I just drove. It was like a 5-hour drive. I drove down there and I stayed with her that weekend. So anytime she needed me, she didn't have no furniture, I would help. If she needed to do this, I would help. That was kind of how we, how we did things. But we were still sexually engaging whenever I did come.
Would that be defined in today's standards as a situationship?
That's fair to say.
Or just somebody I'm just smashing? Because a situationship is more so as it's understood that we're exclusive with each other, but we don't have the title. This sounds like more of, I understand you got other people you messing with and vice versa, but we'll hook up.
I would say after probably the first year, when we kind of really started up with, I'm coming in, I'm operating as a boyfriend or she's operating as a girlfriend, daily calls and texts and check-ins and stuff like that, but still undefined.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fair to say situationship. Either way, it was a blur line mess.
And when y'all got ready to move to Atlanta, was that a conversation that y'all had that y'all were going to move together?
First, she was going to come up to where I was at in North Carolina. My whole goal was to get down to Atlanta. My whole life goal was to get down there in driving distance to my mom and them.
Where your mom live in Atlanta?
Alabama. So she's like a 4-hour drive away. So I never had plans of staying too far away. I always wanted to be close with family. But yeah, we had that conversation. Like at some point, especially as we get back together, we're going to be down in Atlanta together.
So when at the birth of, at what stage and age did the birth of the Derrick Jaxn that we see on social media, when did that emerge?
It kind of started, I would say, about 2012. I can't say social media because now I talk a lot about relationships. I didn't start off with relationships.
What were you talking about?
I was talking about police brutality. I was kind of like one of them online activists.
Oh, really?
My first time going viral, my first time on national television, I went on CNN. I was speaking on behalf of Walter Scott Bush. My first time going viral, it was about Trayvon Martin and Rachel Gentile and those folks.
That's what you was doing?
That was my first thing. That's the first thing I went viral with. So the first 50 to 100,000 people that was on my page, and I only separated it because I didn't want people on my personal page aggravating, how racist it is.
Yeah.
So I created a separate page where I was talking mostly about that. Occasionally I was sprinkling in relationship stuff because I was always a lover. I always loved love and talking about love. But
and that was 2012.
This was 2012, 2011, 2012. When I first went viral, I went to work and I saw 15,000 people liking the page and so on and so forth. I ain't know nothing about it.
Yeah.
But I was just speaking my piece on whatever I felt was true. But then that became too heavy. It was it's so dark and it induces this helplessness. And I don't know how people do it now where they get up and talk about that every day. It's not that it's not important. But anyway, I was just I kind of want to stick to just the lovey-dovey stuff, man. So I kept posting my poetry and, dear future wife, and all that stuff. But people, now I got 75, 85,000 people who are looking at my page. And now what they see is at least relationship conversation. And so then they would ask questions. And that's whenever, I don't even know what year that was. That had to be about closing on 2013 sometime. And I wasn't trying to give this expert point of view. I was just more like Big Brother. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, this is what it is. I'm not no knight in white shining armor, but this is the truth on what you're talking about. And so they begin curating more of the conversation now, the DMs, the comments and stuff like that. And little by little, they started going viral.
And so you were intentional enough to say, let me leave this other stuff alone and then focus my energy on love and relationships.
Yeah, I honestly, bro, just like everybody else get on social media to post whatever's important to them, that's what I did. The only difference is my voice started resonating, relating to people. And I think I was probably a bit more bold than most.
What was the style? Were you doing it? Was you on a cell phone like you've become known for? Or did you have cameras? Like what were you doing during that time?
It was written at first. It was all written. Everything was written up until 2014, 2015. My first, actually, I was a romance novelist. The first couple of books were Cheating Man's Heart 1 and 2, inspired by, I'm sure it's a huge surprise. And then from there, I wrote poetry because, again, I'm just staying true. Some people were trying to push me into expert land. I'm like, y'all don't know. I just effed up everything. I ain't the one.
Why he ain't never say that?
Oh, child.
Why he ain't never say that? See, why not? Why didn't you ever say that?
You know why?
If he had said that, it wouldn't have stopped his train from moving. It would have validated him on a whole nother level. And your brand, it would have been totally different. Totally different.
He didn't lead with that because he saw it the opposite. He probably, I'm pretty sure he probably thought that if he would have led with that, it would have alienated, you know what I'm saying, an audience.
Right.
I think that he chose to go the route of building this persona that he's this cream of the crop type guy, because for one, it will that personality or that image would gel better with his physical appearance.
But here's the thing. He never actually said he was a good guy.
No, he didn't. It was the manner in which he spoke down on everybody else. It's a way. You got to say us. You got to say I. You got to say we. You got to say me. Kind of like I do. You know what I'm saying? Like I am very quick to separate myself from Frank. I'm very quick to separate. I'm like, hey, Bo, there's different dudes out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm still hoping to get to where that man is at a certain point. You got to separate those two, because it comes off as if you're speaking from this moral high ground. You're virtue signaling to a degree. And you gotta be very careful with that, because when you're virtue signaling, that's when people are waiting for your downfall. So people are waiting for your downfall because you seem to be virtue signaling, and then we can kind of peep the disingenuous nature, and that's why we call you a fraud. And it's only a matter of time, and it confirmed itself. I mean, he couldn't have been a better story than so many others. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's like if you're waiting on somebody to show you who they are, and then they show you who they are, that's who this dude was. I just like lean into it. You could have owned this. Like, you could have owned this a long time ago. Hey, man, I ain't that guy. Why didn't you just say that?
Should have been
me and her.
Right.
Me and her just broke up all over again. People have been stealing a lot of my content, and I was like, enough of that. So I started making videos, Snapchat videos. And then those went even more viral than the written stuff. So that's how that happened. It was on my cell phone. I ain't have none of these beautiful lights and cameras or nothing like that. But I was able to impact a lot of lives, even just with I think it was an Android at that.
You got something against Android?
I'm just saying, everybody be shading.
Now you woke up and chose violence. Now
people are Samsung phobic, so
we're having a great conversation until you had to go attack Android. Now interview over. I'm sitting.
Triggered you.
Yeah, triggered me. You iPhone people. And so you start doing this content. And so what kind of feedback did you get from your brothers? Like dudes that where they like, man, come on, man, what you doing talking about this stuff or this? Like your inner circle, how did they receive it?
My inner circle knows me. They know, first off, I'm kind of soft. Like, I always liked things that most people didn't like. Okay. I watch a little bit of sports, but not big on sports. I always loved love. Whenever we used to freestyle back in the day, I was always on love topics, all that kind of stuff. So
really?
Yeah. But outside of my inner circle, you know, I got a lot of feedback that I really kind of got with the videos, the comments and all that kind of stuff. Oh man. But it's just like, bro, true is true. Like, again, like you just think yourself back in the worst of your decisions, whatever they may be. If your female cousin, auntie, mama, sister come and ask you a question about a dude, you're going to keep it straight with them. 100%. You're not going to tell them, oh, he put his hands on you because you didn't have the food ready when he got home from work. You're going to say straight like, nah, he put his hands on you, but he probably wouldn't talk out of line to a dude the same size as him. 100%. Cowardly, right? Yep. So that was the perspective. But as people came and piled in, and again, I never branded myself because it wasn't about no brand. I just wanted to do what I was doing full time. So I had to
you
make
wouldn't
some
even
money.
know it at that point. You don't know how this could grow.
That was not a thing whenever I first started.
Right.
It was like maybe 2 guys. I think 1 or 2 guys that was doing it professionally.
Who was doing that professionally?
I want to say Tony Gaskin was one of the ones, and then a brother by the name of Stefan Speaks.
Oh yeah,
they had a thing going on, and I still didn't know their business. So I mean, you know, I didn't know this as a profession. But yeah, that was the feedback. But then guys that actually talk to me in real life, we always left the conversation them understanding what I'm saying in full context. So if a woman asks you a question, you're going to speak to that context. Yep. But of course, it's a larger conversation in both sides of the coin.
And when did you start knowing that, when did it click? This can be monetized. Did it happen from your first booking that happened? Somebody said, hey, we want you to come speak at this women's thing about this. You're like, wow, I can get paid for this. How much I charge? $500? What I charge?
Yeah.
What was the first thing that made you say I could get paid for doing what I love doing?
First off, I published my first book, 2013. It was a romance novel, though. There wasn't no advice, 2014, 2015.
What was that called?
If this nigga say one more damn thing about a romance novel, I ain't never seen this dude. Where are the... Sheffy, you got them romance novels, don't you? Sheffy, you got these romance novels?
Child, I ain't reading that crap, and I'm a whole.
So that's when you created a product.
Yeah, but it was tough to sell because I didn't know how to show the value in it because I ain't had no quotes in it or nothing like that.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, speaking, but I was deathly afraid of speaking.
Really?
I got booked for an hour, funny enough, in Mollywop, Montgomery, and I think it was about $400 that I got paid. I had everything up in my mind. I'm gonna say it. And I had everything out in 10 minutes. And I had another 50 minutes to go. I was sweating just like I am right now, except I ain't had nothing to say. So I was like, well, speaking probably ain't it. And then I was like, from there, I had to figure out other ways to make money. So, you know, even to this day, my content ain't how I make a living. I have other businesses, but I had to figure out, how do I do marketing? How do I do Google Analytics and Facebook and YouTube marketing? How do I do these other things? Because I'm not getting no money. At that time, they didn't have no monetization for Facebook and all that stuff. So if you didn't have a product to sell, or if you weren't getting brand deals, you ain't making no money.
Facts.
Yeah.
Did you ever get brand deals?
Not like as a long-term thing. I did a couple of things for like the last OG show and stuff like that.
Yeah, but not like the way it is nowadays where they be like...
I stopped even accepting them because I felt like they would always try to control me. Like my thing is like, I can't be bought. I don't care who like what I'm saying. I don't care the feed. Man, look, I'm going to say the truth. I'm not going to be a sellout. And a lot of times the brands would be like,
I'm ready to be done. I'm tired.
Yeah, I think I'm cool on this guy.
This nigga just said, I'm not a sellout. I'm gonna tell the truth. I can't be bought. Yeah, I have nothing else. Yeah, what? The level of delusion. I'm gonna say the truth. I'm not gonna be a sellout.
It's not even delusion. It's blatant lying. Like, you can tell someone who is just kind of saying what needs to be said in the moment, but also that they believe what they're saying.
Yeah.
Like that man lying, and he believe he lying. He believe exactly what he's saying.
What you mean? What you mean you was gonna tell the truth? No, you weren't. No, you were not. You were not being honest about who you are as an individual. Nigga, we didn't even know you was married until we found out you was cheating.
Yep.
Think about that boy.
They count you with pictures and put you out on IG, and to save your reputation, here you come with a wife, and everybody like,
we didn't even know you were married, bro. Stop with the bullshit. What? At any point, this man could have been like, I got a wife and kids. I'm a whole family man. No. That never was a thing.
Nope.
And he said, do you see the way Frank sat there with his chest out? That's exactly way what's his name? Derrick Jaxn used to sit in that corner. The hand never popped up. There was never no ring. Nobody ever. That nigga just sat in the corner of his car right there, talking that shit. Just talking about this, and talking that shit, talking this, talking this. You didn't put your hands in frame so somebody can say, "Oh shit, ring." Okay, we got it. No, he was lying. God.
That nigga was creating an image.
But he actually believes it though. That's what's worse. Like you can look at that man. That man literally believe what he said.
Oh, he do. He do.
And it's like, well, shit. What can you do with that?
Nothing. That's why I had to just stop it. I mean, there's another 18 minutes left. I said, I'm done. I don't know.
I'm about to fall asleep on you.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? He said, I'm real. I'm not a seller. I would never take a payment. I'm just gonna tell the truth. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Man,
go ahead, Frank.
My dad is the same way, and it's incredibly frustrating. Like, just sit there and listen to him. Like, dude, that is not what happened. But he's been telling himself this whatever it is, he had been telling himself, I'm still talking about my dad, for so long that it's actually a reality in his mind. So trying to get the real story from him, what actually happened, you're not gonna get it. Because the nigga don't see, because of what he has convinced himself of.
Right.
And they people like that choose to exist in that world to escape real accountability.
Yeah. And they won't have too many peers. They won't have a lot of friends. Because you can't. Because I can't pick up the phone and bounce something off this man right here, Frank. I can't pick up the phone and bounce something off him and get an echo chamber. When we agree, we agree. When we disagree, we disagree. When he gonna say, man, you know that was messed up. That's what's gonna come out of his mouth. And mine on the other way. There's no way he has a real man as a sounding board. Because a real man gonna be like, bruh,
that don't even sound
bro, that sound like some bullshit, bro. If you don't get the hell out of here, like all your homeboys, I'm like, man, get the hell out of here with that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? There's no way he has a group like that around him.
What the nigga said earlier, he said that when his homeboys did hear the whole thing in context, they walk away with an understanding. So you just got to get the proper context. That's all.
Nothing he said has invalidated anything she said. Nothing. No. The only thing that we can't we're gonna close it out. You know, I'm gonna get y'all's final take on it. For me, I think young people are young people. Anybody getting in a relationship. Me and my ex, I was 19, she was 18 when we got together. When young people are young, they grow young and dumb, and then they become aware, and then hopefully along the way, y'all don't damage each other too much. I think, and I'm not trying to say I'm better than him but I think there was a lot of damage that they had on the ground level so early. And they rode it out, but then to marry into that, like I'm talking about, if as a teenager into a young adult, she's running into constant infidelity, and she's also experienced rape and dealing with that trauma, and he's responding how he's responding, and all these things. If you deal with let's just say, they met sophomore year. And then he graduates college, and then she graduates. Then they relocate 2 years after that and move. You know, 5 years of that
Trauma
nonsense,
bonding, man.
huh?
Trauma bonding. That's
Yeah,
all that was.
like their foundation was so messed up. Somebody, and I remember I do remember in her interview, she even said that she wanted to get the ring so she could be able to tell them women, see, I suffered through all of it, but see, told y'all, showed y'all hoes, I'm the wife now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like somebody should have pulled her aside and said, baby girl, no. Y'all got a kid? Just raise the kid. Y'all can't do this. Heal yourself, fix yourself, let him be who he's gonna be. Y'all raise these kids and y'all go y'all.
But you gotta remember, she had all them abortions before she had the kid.
Yeah. Oh my God, forgot about that. I forgot about that shit. God damn. I forgot about that graveyard in her cooter meat. I forgot about that shit.
Wow.
Damn.
Really, sir? Really?
Oh. My bad.
Shame.
Children of the corn pussy. More. I'm so bad. Oh man, I'm sorry.
Wow, Noel. Really?
Graveyard shift. I'm sorry. It's gonna keep coming. I'm sorry. Okay, I gotta stop.
Shame on you. And shame on you, Frank, for egging him on.
Hey, what you call Solomon Grundy?
Ghostbuster.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Y'all are terrible.
I'm sorry.
And Poltergeist.
Just terrible.
Oh, Lord, that's horrible, man. Horrible. Man, give me your final take, Frank. Give me your final take on it.
Man. If these folks ever watch to the end, if they sit 2 hours to get to this, but they gonna murder us. They gonna kill us.
No, you know, I'm gonna clip this one. I'm gonna clip it. I'm gonna give it to him. Because I'm accountable. I believe in being accountable. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna try to hide it. Shit,
Hey,
you know what? Listen, we've had some moments on live that have escaped people. Sheffy done cussed a bunch of us out from time to time and told all of us to shut the hell up.
I've only really cussed like one person out and maybe Remy a little bit.
Remy got a little bit of it, but Remy
got a little bit.
He got a little bit.
Your boy, he had it coming.
Yeah.
I was ready to ride to Atlanta on his ass.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Frank.
Last thoughts on that nigga. He gonna continue to do what he do, and it's gonna be people that's gonna continue to follow him and make excuses for him just because they like what he's selling. They're gonna keep buying from him because they like what he's selling. So no matter this nigga is like the black Donald Trump.
Dang, you think it's that bad?
Yeah, maybe even worse. Maybe even worse. But
I mean, the reason I can't say it is because I think he really believes what he's saying. He really thinks he's righteous. Versus Donald Trump, he's being deceptive.
No, yeah. He know. And see, that's always my thing, man. My thing is, man, you can own this flawed version of yourself, and it will be okay. It'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? I almost think to a degree you'd even be more successful and more popular once you totally own that flawed version of yourself, man. I mean, that's so. Go ahead,
I was talking about. I made a comparison in regards to his influence over his followers. He got a devout following. And why are you making that face, Chef? I ain't never seen that face before.
Because I just don't know if they actually follow him so much as I need somebody to validate what I think.
Right. But I think I do see what you kind of stepping in right there, because I do think he's a passerby as opposed to an actual leader.
Right.
No, like, is he going to be selling courses, classes, and books, or is he making his money off of clicks and likes and views?
Speaking of which, I think this is all made up.
What's all made up?
I think we have what we have between him and her is what they accuse Beyonce and Jay-Z of doing. Crafting a narrative and capitalizing off of it.
They very well could be. They very well could.
Because you know that they're not divorced yet. They're still married.
Yeah. Oh, and to be the bounce back couple. Oh man.
We prayed about it.
Look at our
they
story.
Got a testimony.
The testimony. They can open
the book sales.
Bro, do you know that
it worked for Steve Harvey?
They can open.
They probably go on church tour.
They about to open a church. They gonna open a whole church. You know how thick their congregation gonna be? I might go join that. I'm gonna go be a deacon just so I can get my money up. Fast. I'm preaching every third Sunday. Absolutely. They open a church. I'm gonna go be a deacon.
Because I mean, listen, when he first started talking, when the interview started, that was literally the first thing came to my mind. This is a setup. Both of them are setting this up.
Oh man, listen, I hope you I would, if this turns out to be right, we're gonna come back and we're gonna have to say, you know what, goddamn.
Because after her interview, that's when she suddenly started doing her little consulting.
Yeah.
And now here he came.
Yeah.
And they're not divorced yet.
Yeah.
It would be the perfect comeback story for them.
Yeah.
And considering how he's already manipulated social media and she was helping him, come on.
Yeah.
It looked like a duck to me. And it's quacking like a duck.
Damn sure.
About to start wallowing.
About to. Anyway, let me close on that. I got to get my wife's car. We got to go drop it off at this darn place to get it fixed. We're gonna go drop it off and drop the key in the drop box and all that bullshit. Man, I think this was a good one, man. You know what, Frank? I ain't gonna let us off the hook. I'm gonna clip that last little segment, throw myself under the bus, get a whole lot of hate mail. I mean, it's hilarious to a degree.
Go on and do your Derrick Jaxn and get your clicks.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the boy. It ain't gonna work the same way. I tell you that much. I appreciate y'all. Have a good night. Tell Adonis, say, hey man, hey boy. Hey, boy.
I don't know why I wouldn't call him George. I'm gonna call him George.
Making all this grunt.
You gonna call him George?
You call him George.
George, that's a good name.
That's my brother's name.
All that grunt sound like a George.
Sound like a George. George is always grunting.
Old man.
Yeah.
60-year-old man.
Yeah. We all know about there. All right, y'all. Have a good night.
All right.
Bye, y'all.